Well, hi there, and welcome back. It's Thursday, November the 20th. Mine, Andrew Carrington Hitchcock. And that reminds me, I must get back in touch with Andy and try and get him on the show again at some point in the future. Maybe even before the year's out, if we're lucky. He's quite a busy chap these days. Why no show? Well, I've been given an invite to an event which I originally thought was on Wednesday, yesterday, but it turns out that it's today. And I'm obviously going to it, otherwise we
Sorry about this, everybody. I've got
the
replay from last week
coming through for someone. It's all about William Shakespeare.
Hang on.
That's right. We're going to be reenacting Othello, Hamlet, and The Merchant of Venice. We're not really. It's a gathering of people for... There we go. How stupid was that of me? That was a spectacular beginning, wasn't it? Wasn't that spectacular? Eric, did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy that complete...
I enjoyed that, and you're trying to outdo me with my cock-ups. I thought I was the cock-up champion, but now you're trying to beat me. I can see this. We're in a race here. Because at least...
happen? How?
Well, when I start talking, everything goes tits up, generally. I went off air the other week. I don't know.
That was really weird. Oh, I know what happened. Hi, everybody. You see, if I take a week off all my settings and then I come in, I think it's just the same as it was 2 weeks ago. And it wasn't. What an abysmal start. Absolutely abysmal start. Anyway, happy Thanksgiving if you're out there in America. You're listening. This is Paul English Live, just barely. Episode 114. We're here back on WBN. I legged it last week. I had to go and listen to a Shakespeare lecture. It wasn't really about Shakespeare at all. And I didn't have to go. I wanted to go. It was great, actually. I went to see a chap called Alan Salisbury. Don't know if you've heard of him, Eric, but it was a lot of fun. Really great deal of fun. No, you haven't heard of him. I'm going to try and get him on the show at some point in the future. But yeah, a really good show looking at things like law, L-O-R-E, or a very good presentation, I should say, and law, L-A-W. And lots of good discussions, particularly about... well, guys, you see, it's a week ago. A lot happens in a week. I can barely remember what we were talking about. I don't know if you're like that. I think my brain only works up to about 4 or 5 hours.
I've seen your moments. I sort of remember forget simple things. Yeah. And I'm thinking, what? Or do you ever go to cupboards and think, what the bloody hell am I doing here?
Yeah, I do often find myself standing in a cupboard going, this is an interesting cupboard. Where am I?
Yes. I think your day's going to start bad when you wake up and you're face to face with the pavement outside.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's when you know your day's going to be bad. Yes, but that doesn't often happen nowadays.
Yeah, look at me, all kerfuffled. I've had a fun. It's funny,
Yes.
I thought I was completely prepped for today, and of course that was turned out to be a complete pack of lies, total pack of lies. Yeah, that was... I've just realised what's happened. Yeah, I had to reset everything up last week when I went out, and it's all still on the timer, so it kicked in all these things off because I'd forgotten to turn them off. So it was as if it was last Thursday all over again. I was having a Groundhog Day. I'm living the same Thursday over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah, it doesn't bode well, does it, really?
No. In other words, you made a mess up. Yes,
I did.
Yes.
Yeah,
but never
absolutely.
Mind. But life,
yes, no,
but
please,
life is like that.
Yeah.
Well, no, what I was going to say is, life is making mistakes, and that's how you learn. Because let's face it, first time you use matches, you get burnt. You think, sod that, I'm not going to use them again. I'll be more careful. And that's just how you learn. You see, you get wise.
Well, if that's the case, Eric, I must have learned an awful lot. I must have learned tons. In fact, my learning curve's absolutely enormous. It's just brilliant. Yeah, I suppose you're right. I suppose you must be right. Yeah, if those things go that way. So, yeah.
Yes.
I ought to try and do some justice, though, to last Thursday, because I put everybody through. I'll tell you what was funny as well. This was funny. I don't even have the comment in front of me. I'm going to have to dig it up. Where was it? Was it on Rumble? I think it was on Rumble. Let me just go. I got a very cheeky comment in from Aunt Sally last week. She was absolutely distraught. Really? Yeah, it was really, really rude.
In or out of the bath?
I don't know, really. Everybody was sort of ridiculously It's funny, everybody. Shout out to everybody on Rumble and YouTube. I haven't even got the chats up. What I'll get them up in a minute, right? As the actress said to the bishop. What a dope. And hang on, my guest just pinging me here. Just a minute. Let me just put some message.
I'll do a fill-in. You know, I've told the carol singer joke, haven't I? So I better not crack that one again. Or I might as well, you know.
Yeah.
We went carol singing the other night, and everything was going well. We went down to the local hospital, entertained the patients, and the trouble was we got kicked out when we stood outside the schizophrenic ward singing "Do You Hear What I Hear?" Sorry.
Didn't you crack that joke the other day? What's going on?
I did, but I thought well, I liked it so much. I thought I'll hear it again, even though I've heard it before.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you for doing it. Yeah, no, that's really good.
Oh, Mark Anthony just said, Paul, you will have to go some way to top Eric's "Happy Days Are Here Again" when it was repeating over and over and over and over and over again. People were going out of their minds, and it was on a different channel, so I didn't know. So I'm talking away quite happily. It's, "Happy days are here again."
I know. Maybe I was just trying to catch up tonight. I actually think it's just brain fade, everybody. So I'm sorry. It happens, really.
That's all right.
But what I wanted to say was I put this little sort of video up on Rumble. I remembered now, and I've just pulled it up here, just apologising to everybody. This got more responses on the comments thing than it does when I do a show. Right? You bastards out there. No, I don't really mean that. We're not using foul language. It's really funny, actually. I want to read them to you, Eric, because they were all heartfelt and kindly. Lorem TX wrote, "Boo-hoo," and I was just saying this morning, it's Thursday again. Well, next week. Well, it's next week here now, Lorem, so there we go. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Dennis Volkan said that Points of View will be getting a serious complaint. Thanks, Dennis. That's good. And Gristle said, this is most egregious. I'm now drafting a stiff letter of complaint to my MP. MP stands for monstrous parasites, of course. That's exactly what it is.
Excellent.
But the winner in the abusive letters came from Aunt Sally. I'll have to read this out to you. She wrote, "How very dare you?" I do like that turn of phrase, by the way. "How very dare you to take a night off," this is about last Thursday, "and do other clearly less interesting stuff about effing boring Shakespeare." Good grief, that's a bit strong, really. "You get a spanking from me," well, there's always some compensation with these things, "and a flogging from your general listeners as penance, you bar steward." Seems quite severe. I don't think she must have had bath last night. It's a bit heavy. I didn't realise.
And she won't that's right, and she won't cook any cakes for you.
No, it's all over. I've completely blown it there. She said, "P.S. not watching you ever, ever, ever again." Well, nobody ever has, actually, because we don't use video, but I get the drift. And then the cheeky bit at the end, it just says, "See you next Thursday." I can't possibly imagine what she's driving at there.
Oh, I like that. Yeah,
it's a bit much, isn't it? It really is.
It is, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, anyway,
Yes.
Well, shout out to everybody in YouTube and Rumble chat, and just to let you know, we're here on WBN, properly this time, sort of, apart from the sort of cockamamie start there this week, which kind of puts me better in the mood, really. In fact, these things keep happening all the time. I was on with Ria just gone Sunday, and apparently they'd had a big crash and all the servers had gone down. Oh no, I know what it was. You know, when we were having some problems with Rumble a couple of months ago, and I kept on not being able to connect to it. Same problem. They had the same problem on Sunday. You get these. This is tedious stuff, everybody. But if you do stream on Rumble, you can either have a dynamic, whatever it is, RTMP connection, or a static one. And I've been using the static one for yonks, and it failed. And that's exactly what happened to them on Sunday. It failed. You have to go to the dynamic one. I'm sure you're all making notes busily and keeping up with all that kind of stuff. So,
and Spence and Dosh, I suppose, because that's what they want on the dynamic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they always want that. Yeah,
absolutely. So, anyway, thanks everybody for your cheery letters of support. Cheered me up tremendously. It's great. So because we get so many comments in when we don't do a show, we're going to not do one next week either. That's a joke, by the way. We will be here. Yes. Although I think it's also worth pointing out that it's Thursday, of course, last Thursday of November, so it's Thanksgiving Day. So a shout out to everybody in the States who's Well, they probably shouldn't be here. They probably should be just packing their stomachs full of turkey, I would imagine, right now, or whatever they're doing, or recovering from that. But it's also worth letting you know, maybe I mentioned it last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever, Christmas Day is also on a Thursday. And so is New Year's Day, obviously, because it's exactly a week after. Because we're very sad and we all live in cupboards, there's a very good chance that we will actually be doing a show on that Thursday, Christmas Day night. For all you sad, lonely people out there, including us, who haven't got any parties to go to. Not that I'd be too bothered anyway. So there's a very good chance of it. So we'll warm up to that, but make sure you've got a bottle on hand that night or a nice flask of tea, lovely hot tea, all that kind of stuff. Be good. Now, we've got a guest lined up. He's not here just yet. I've just put him off for a couple of minutes. He's going to call in a couple of minutes. Stephen, who I spoke to earlier today. And just to give you all a backdrop to this, I was on Eric's show on Monday, and you kindly had Mark, the bowler-hatted farmer, on. We had a lovely sort of post-show chat about certain things that are stewing. And he suggested that we get Stephen on. And so Stephen should be calling in momentarily, any minute now, I think, to come in and join the show. And it's all to do with farming. So Stephen's going to be here for hour 1 through to about 9 o'clock. I had an enormous conversation with him today. He fair wore me out, Eric. It was fantastic, actually.
Blimey.
Yeah, no, it was really, really good stuff. He's up in Manchester. He'll tell you all about it when he comes on. But Mark referenced him. He's been having trouble up to recently with the whole of the milk world and farming and milk world. So he's got some pretty interesting stuff to say. And then in hour 2, because it is, and even this slipped my wonderfully useless mind these days, it's the last Thursday of the month. So it's Monika. Monika's going to be joining us from hour 2 onwards.
Oh, brilliant.
And we'll expand it out. We might bring some other American types in if they can talk. They'll be all full of turkey. I have no idea what's going on, to be quite honest, but there we go. So, yeah.
Excellent. And talk about turkeys, the photograph that you've got, or the painting, looks like Norfolk, where turkeys come from. Well, they don't originate from there, they originate from North America, but, this is where they're actually bred, mainly in Norfolk, isn't it? Yeah. And that looks as fat as Norfolk. Yes, and Norwich, as we all know, was what gentlemen used to put, English troops used to put on their letters to their girlfriends at the end of and we won't go into that because it's very rude, isn't it?
I know, but that picture is of Norfolk. It looks good, so it's Norfolk and good, isn't it? Is that what you were going to say?
No, Norfolk or Norfolk or in chance.
It's a family show.
Yes.
So not much of a fan. I mean, we probably can't offend anybody too much, certainly in America, because they won't be here today, will they? What are they going to be doing?
Perhaps I can say that, what Norwich stands for.
No.
I guess you know. No, not what Norwich stands for. It's quite harmless, but...
Oh, yes, that one. Oh, yeah.
Yes, Norwich, knickers off ready when I come home. On my return home, yes.
Absolutely. Anyway, Eric, I was mentioning that momentarily we might be contacted by our guest, Stephen, tonight, and he's called in. Stephen, hi, welcome to the show. How are you?
All right, Paul. Is that Paul? Yeah, all right. Well, I've just got back from football practice, and we're just doing a few more jobs now, so I'm just currently on the telehandler.
All right. Are you driving right now?
Hooking the shed out, putting a bale of straw in.
Right, okay. It's just that the signal's a bit sort of poor.
Right, hold on. I'll park up, hold on. Is that any better?
Yeah, it's a little better.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Absolutely. So, football practice, how did it go? Did you score any goals, Stephen? That's what we want to know.
No, it's not, lad. It's Owen. I'm just assistant coach. Just go down, being football dad, isn't it? Just go and help out. It's a kids' practice.
Yep. So I've just been telling everybody, I've just been giving everybody a little bit of background as to, I don't know, we've spoken for the first time today, but what I was letting everybody know is that we had a cracking show with Mark, the bowler-hatted farmer, on Monday. He got stimulated about things. He got in touch with you, and he said to me, you ought to try and get Stephen on because he's got some interesting tales about his life as a dairy farmer and dealing with the milk world. And, of course, we had a very long chat today, didn't we, which was fantastic. Left me fair took it out, Stephen, afterwards. I thought, good grief, this is fantastic. But we thought we'd bring you on, so you can talk a little bit about this and about the wonderful life of a dairy farmer up in and around Manchester and anything else you want to really talk about.
Yeah, well, I mean, where did we start? I mean, like this year. I mean, this year's been the worst in 30 years of doing it. We've never experienced turmoil. From U-Tree Dairy, we'd supplied them for 10 years. And then the Muller takeover, that they did last year. Large corporate bought out the small dairy, buying out the competitor, like it is.
Yeah.
And it's just been an absolute disaster from day dot for joining them. I cannot say that in 30 years of dealing with 3 different dairies we used to have Nestle when I was a kid, to First Milk, and then obviously on to U-Tree 10 years ago, and never had any hassle. Not like to this extent we've experienced this year. And in 12 months, I've never experienced anything quite like it. And Muller brand themselves as being a super dairy, but they brand themselves as being the top of the tree, and they treat the farmers like that. And to be honest, I have tried for the last week to get hold of them, the farm liaison people, and I can't get hold of them. Even today, rang today. I even rang at tea time after I got off phone to you.
Right.
And you can't get hold of anybody. I mean, this is the top dairy in the country, or one profounds to be one of the top suppliers to the supermarket chain, and we can't even get hold of people. That's how poor it is. I mean,
how long have you been dairy farm? How long is that? Do you class yourself then as a dairy farmer? How many years have you been doing that?
30 years. I've been doing it since before I left school.
Right.
30 odd years.
Yeah.
And like I say, I've had 3 suppliers over the years. Nestle, when I was obviously a kid, into early 20s, and then they left the country. They packed up and left, and we got transferred over to First Milk back then in early 2000s. And like I say, my time with First Milk, no much hassle. They weren't great, but we then transferred over to U-Tree 10 years ago, and like I say, I've never had no real mither. And then this lot, within 3-4 months, I mean, it just went to carnage at Spring. Right. I've never chucked 2 weeks worth of milk away. You couldn't get hold of anybody. You couldn't get hold of these people in the office, on the phone. And I've experienced the same again this week. They say that they're there to help and all like this, that, and other. And then the same this week. Where's the phone call? Why aren't they answering? These people are paid these big wages to do the jobs, and literally they're doing nothing. The only thing they're doing is extracting money out of the producers, us, the people, the farmers, and they're getting paid for doing sod all. Pretty much, mostly like the government. Pretty much like all these government people, isn't it? They're as bad. They do.
You don't have a good view of the government, Stephen. You don't have a positive view of
No. Well, I mean, they kicked us. So yesterday, I mean, I'm a tenant farmer. I'm not a landowner. I'm a tenant farmer.
Right.
So, the inheritance tax sort of didn't matter to me, but every other tax does. And yesterday's taxing, the new one. So I've just literally spent all this year to set up, to now sell direct to the public. So a set up now can actually do it, sell direct.
When did that happen then? When did your selling direct thing because it's quite recent, isn't it?
Oh, it's this last week. Literally this where are we now? Friday. So yeah, just literally we got the go ahead at the end of last week, and then we've just progressed or ordered the bits and pieces we need, and with the view that we'll have everything together by this weekend now, and we can sell to the public now, and a few people have come with refill bottles. But now, from this weekend, every drop of our milk has to go to the public, because that's when my contract with Muller ends. They served me notice 6 months ago. Right. We finish this weekend, and we have no supplier to take us on. There's no dairy to take that milk on, because nobody wants any milk. They're all actually getting rid of farmers, not wanting farmers. Yeah. And this is the supply and demand situation. But like I say, it's just in turmoil. And I think I've had a bad year in one sense, but we have got now a potential outlet we sell now direct to public. And we've been putting this in place since the beginning of the year, because I knew where we were going to end up. I knew we would get thrown under a bus with Muller. And they've done that. They have done it. They have literally thrown us under a bus. They are paying us on that contract, the specific one that we're on, 40% less than what their direct contract farmers are. So those that, 14p difference with the same milk company. Now,
and are they a monopoly then, Stephen? Are they a monopoly? Do they control the entire milk market, or are they just one of a few major players?
So there's one of the few major players, but literally, it's like the supermarkets. You have Tesco and you have Morrison's and Aldi and whoever, the big supermarkets, the big six. Well, Muller are one of the big 3 or 4 dairies that control the price. And they're then dictated to by the supermarkets. But like I say, I can't believe this last month. I mean, there's 40% difference between our milk and some of my friends who have been with Muller for a number of years, tens of years. But there's a 40% difference, 40%. And literally, how do they expect us to pay the bills? How do they expect? They don't care. They actually don't care, because they've served us notice and they don't care. And they say they're here, but they're not. They're not available on the phone. They don't answer. I've tried for a week. And it's just like, it pretty much sums up the year with them. The experience has been utterly dire. Just pretty much the same experience with the government, to be fair. So we've had a double kicking this year, because we've had this government waste of time and we've had our main income waste of time. The government cut the subsidies. I mean, they scrapped the SFI, the Sustainable Farming Incentive. No sign of it. We've asked them. We've asked the government for some clarity. What they're doing with the SFI scheme. Is it going to actually ever come back? Nothing. You ask these MPs, they don't get back to you. We asked, you just asked, and nothing. There's nothing. And that's pretty much sums up. So we do. I mean, there's various farmers like Mark, who you had on earlier. He's great, is Mark. And such as Gareth Winjoe. There's so many to name, such as Gareth Winjoe. There's so many to name of these farmers. And like I said, there's a food revolution coming, without doubt. And we now stepped into that world of joining with fellow farmers around the country. We are going to set up our own supply chain as such. The people come and buy good food from us. I honestly do believe it. The food revolution is coming. Come to us. We'll provide you the good food.
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier today, and with Mark, that it's absolutely, the timing is right. Is this the first time that you have been in a position where you've sold direct to the public? Is this your first?
Yeah, we've never ever sold to the public. This is a completely new territory. This is like exploring the unknown, and it's 2 words. It's terrifying and it's exciting at the same time.
I bet it is. Yeah, I bet it is. So it's a matter of
terrifying. But you don't, because you just don't know, and we've never been in a position where we don't have a guaranteed income, because we've always had that guaranteed income coming from when your milk check comes, you're getting something. So you have that guaranteed income each month that is coming the following month. And the same with the subsidies. That's what subsidies were put in place for all them decades ago after World War II. To guarantee farmers, should you have a bad year, farmers always have that guarantee that there's a subsidy check coming at the end of the year that protects the farm to the next year, so that they make sure that they've got some money if they've had a bad harvest. They've got some money at the end of the year. It covers the bills and gets next year's harvest ready to keep the food coming. But like this lot we've got in power now do not have any idea. There's just completely incompetent, illiterate government that doesn't see as far as the end of the nose. If they can't see that food is a necessity, you can't just import it every single day, because you have conditions outside of your control.
I mean, we only need to have a canal boat, whatever, that boat that was stuck in the Suez Canal, that ship thing. You only need to get a sheer problem like that happen, and it blocks the canal for 6 weeks.
Right.
So what happens if we're reliant on food being imported in, and we get something just out of our control, a freak accident like that ship gets stuck? All of a sudden, can we survive without 6 weeks' food?
I don't know. It looks as though they want to test us out, though. It looks as though they would like to test us. Isn't it the case, Stephen? I think during World War One, I know it's going back a bit, and we were around then, but the story is that this country was 6 weeks away from starvation because of the U-boats and stuff like that. So maybe they're trying to beat a record on that thing. Stephen, have you ever met Eric von Essex, or have you heard of him? You've heard of him now.
No, you did mention the name.
Well, he's lurking. Eric, hi.
Hello.
Let me introduce you to Stephen. Hi.
Hello, Stephen. And I'm very interested in your milk, but the trouble is, I live in Hertfordshire. It's a bit of a long way to go to Manchester to get my milk, isn't it?
Yeah, but the point is, like Mark's Food Finders Hub, and farmers get onto these app things now, it is becoming joining this technology, using technology. Farms sign up. You will find somebody. I probably guarantee that they go on that, or if the farmer will be on there somewhere. Or is maybe
I know, they're delicious.
Will be.
Yeah, but delicious. That's just up the road to me.
Yeah, so there you go.
That's
your local farmer to go to. So this is the point.
And they've been to hell and back. I'll tell you that because they had to be closed for months, whilst the inspectors inspected their milk and everything. Those poor souls, I feel really sorry for them. And I know how hard it must be for yourself. I mean, will you be only selling milk? Are there other products? And I'll be very happy.
For a start off, it's milk. And then Olivia's going to do to go on one of these cheese courses in January. She's booked on to go on one of them. Obviously, milk, milk, butter, cheese. So butter and cheese are our next things. Butter's
that's important. And also ice cream. This is what Delicious do, ice cream.
Again, her and Owen are going to go on a course thing in February for ice cream. January will be the cheese, ice cream in February. Butter, obviously, do that in probably New Year. But butter's the quicker product to make because it doesn't take many days and it's ready. Butter's fairly quick.
I know what you mean.
Cheese.
And,
now, if we
do you have vending machines? Do you have vending machines like Delicious?
We're not there yet. We're not. We've literally just started. So vending machines will come. That will probably be. Well, it'll definitely be next year. It's not going to be this year. Whether we get the vending machines in by spring, I would think it's going to take time.
Of course.
We've got to
would you like an advert on my show? No, Steve, would you like an advert on my show?
I don't know how to do all. I'm new to all this.
Oh, we're going to get all this sorted, Stephen. We're going to help.
Oh, don't worry. But if you'd like one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm new to all this life, world, call it what you will. That we've just been supplying to, the processors. That's been our life, and it's destroyed us. And it now has actually, within 1 year, they've destroyed me. They've destroyed 29 years worth of work. And I can't put that into words. I give them a cursing at spring. I said, you don't care at all. I said, 29 years I put into it, and you've destroyed me. And you do not care. They just don't. And they've proven it this week. Yeah,
I think they're a German firm, aren't they?
I'm not having to go the Germans for that, but Muller, yes, German owned. I mean, our dairy industry, right? You've got Arla, Danish, Muller, German, and Dairy Crest are now Canadian owned. Our main milk industry is owned outside of the UK. Dairy Crest was always a British brand. Muller used to be what was called Robert Wiseman's and Express and all that. That was Scottish and English. You know, Dairy Crest was in UK. Everything we used to 20 years ago, our dairy industry was owned by the UK. There was no outside from anywhere else. And now, within the last 10, 15 years, it's literally they just literally come in and bought us out.
And where are these? So, which countries are now indirectly owning the British dairy industry?
German, Danish, and Canadian. The main bulk of our milk industry now will be owned from outside the UK. And like I say, with Muller, they bought up the U-Tree Dairy. It was a UK dairy, starting to get a bit bigger. It's quite a small dairy, but starts to get a bit bigger. And as soon as they got so big, they just done a corporate buyout.
Right.
So they just take out the competitors, just like supermarkets destroying the high street. You know,
are you, Stephen?
Are
you surrounded by or in contact with lots of other farmers in a similar situation? I mean by that, farmers that have never gone to the public before but are now about to make the plunge or are in the process of making the plunge to do that.
I think there's one or two. I think certainly this last year. And the thing is, I mean, one thing I'll praise the Labour government for. I told you this earlier. There's one thing that I'll praise that the Labour government's done to the farming industry. It's now united us, because in this last year, since they did what they did last year, we've set up the farming networks have set up now. People I'd never met ever, or never talked to. People like Mark, people like David Wheatley, people like Alan Hughes, Gareth Wynne-Jones. You know, we met Gareth in London and Liverpool, and same with Alan, and I saw Alan and Will Hughes from Scotland. You know, I've met and talked to so many other farmers this last year that we've never. And Stephen Wainwright, I've got back in touch after 20 years. Went college together.
Right.
And you know, we haven't seen each other for 20 years, and now we're in contact most weekdays. But the point is they've united us by doing what they've done. They've actually united farmers, and now we're all talking, and now we're all networking and working together. And actually, it's through doing that I've now got into the position I have, by saying, well, we need to do this, we're going to have to do that, do something. And it gives you that courage to speak up. And
yes.
Well, if it's any help, Stephen, where I go to pick up my milk, I don't think I've ever been. It's always crowded, the small car park, and there's always people buying milk. Raw milk is something that is desperately needed. But actually, there's people that come from miles from there.
Unprocessed, it's natural. I've drunk it for 44 years, obviously. Well, at least. You know, that is it. It's done nothing at me. That's all. That's all we've ever known. If I drink supermarket milk, i.e., you have it elsewhere when you're not at home, you can taste the difference.
Well, there's no taste to it.
You can tell the difference in a brew and things like that. And I mean, I was bought Costa coffee when I was in Manchester one day. It was very nice. They bought me Costa coffee. I have to say, I couldn't drink it. I literally had to throw. I drank a bit out of it. I'm like, I can't drink that. It was rank. It was rank.
Yeah.
And this is the point. It's till you've experienced good food, you don't know what bad food is. And I think that's the thing with the general public. They don't know what good food actually tastes like.
We agree. Absolutely, Steve. And I think so. A bit like you were saying earlier that the technology is a bit new to you. I suspect that raw milk is going to be a bit new to everybody else. I mean, I do buy it and purchase it, and you go through a sort of review process. So do you think there's a kind of, for want of a better word, a kind of an education process required to get the word spread?
I've been saying it for years. I mean, I don't know how many years, 5, 6 years ever since our little lad really went to school, I think that's one thing. When you become a parent, and then you the responsibility comes, and then then they've gone to school, and then you're seeing how the difference is in the kids, and you're comparing it to what it was like when you was at school.
Mm-hmm.
And the change, there's something seriously gone off in our education system in the last 20 plus years. Serious, because it was not like that when I was at school. Not to the like it is now. It's I can't put it into words, but I don't know whether they're brainwashing them or
they are
indoctrination, or there's something sinister gone off in the last 20 odd years that I can see. And it's terrifying. And like I say, we signed up to do school education program visits. I've been signed up for that for over 2 years. And my local authority isn't even interested in seem to be pushing it. I've said we're available to do it. And I have now, in this last few months, obviously with speaking out, started to get people interested. I need to contact people. But I'm having to do the contacting. The local authority is responsible for education, and I've raised it in meetings and things like that. But they're not pushing it. And they talk of ambition. Well, there's no ambition. If they had ambition, they would be jumping on this. And people want to know. I mean, like even Olivia said, we had a Pakistani couple come today. Lovely couple. He took a couple of pictures, and we were talking with him and his wife. And like Olivia said, she was telling about what she's going to make with the milk. And even Olivia said, like, it would be actually really interesting to go and have a day's cooking with them to see what they do in their culture and community with the food, because it's actually fascinating. And Mark said that to me. We had that conversation literally an hour ago. Like he said, his missus is Nigerian, and how she cooks at home. And this is the point: culture and cooking. But that is at the heart of the Pakistanis and Indians and Europeans. Italians and Spanish and French. Culture is food and drink are their culture. That is the very essence of life. And they are really into it. And I've said this, in the UK, it's just beer and kebabs.
I think, Stephen, of course, me and Eric being relatively long in the tooth, when I went to school as a wee lad in the 60s, I got milk every morning at junior school. Did you get milk, Eric? Did you get milk, Eric?
Yes, we got milk, and bullies used to put worms. Used to dig up worms and put them in the milk.
Watch out for the worm bullies. But is that a market then, Stephen, to get raw milk back into the schools? Of course, the bureaucratic hurdles, they'd all have a heart attack, wouldn't they? They'd have a heart attack.
They wouldn't allow that. They wouldn't allow that.
I know.
But the thing is there is a difference in pasteurisation, and modern method pasteurisation is what destroys milk. Mm-hmm. So the homogenisation, the ultra processing of it, because it is a modern milk in the supermarket is another ultra processed product. Yeah. Now, if you go the more traditional method, low heat, I think it's called low heat pasteurisation rather than high pressure pasteurisation. So it's the modern method that's killed milk. The high pressure homogenisation, ultra processed, basically 15 seconds boiled, instead of just simmered away for half an hour with the traditional method.
Right.
And that's what we need to go back. And that's what most small-scale dairy farmers that do milk vending, when they do the pasteurising, it is something that we will go into, because I want to provide both. I want people to have the choice. Those that wish to have it like we have it, those that do want to have the pasteurised, we can provide that as well. And hopefully within a week or two, we'll provide both for those people that feel more comfortable. And I get it. And this is what I actually had the argument with the Muller over. I actually had an argument with this. It says, why can't we provide both for the public? Why can't we give them the choice? Mm-hmm. We should be able to give the public the choice in food.
Yep.
And we don't agree with it. We don't have to agree with it. The consumer is the one that makes the choice, not you. So basically, you're dictating to the consumer what they can have.
Well, there's nothing new there, is there? There's nothing new there. I mean, that's a cultural thing. I mean, in terms of your sales now, as you get up and running, are you anticipating that the bulk will come from people locally within a sort of 15, 20-mile radius? Yeah. But are you planning to sort of sell? Is there an opportunity or a delivery system for you to sell wider afield? I mean, I don't know what it's like with raw milk. It's obviously got, you know.
The thing is that we don't need to. I don't need to go miles.
Well, that's good.
That's the point. We don't, because there's enough people. But the point is, why do we need to ship it all around the country? All that does is increase carbon footprint and all that crap. Sorry, it come out. Let me go back. It increases all that transport and everything. We're supposed to be about local supply chains. So somebody 5-10 miles away. But somebody 5-10 miles away can do the same thing I'm doing and cover that area, and then that area is covered by somebody else, and that's the point. Cover the areas in your local areas. Keep food local. Support each local area. That sorts that out, and then we set, like Mark with his food hub idea, with the Food Finders Hub. That's the idea of it. Find your local food of what you need within that area, and go to that, support that one, and it will have that positive knock-on effect. You know, I don't need to supply somebody in London.
No.
Let somebody down south. What Delicious? Let them cover that area. You know, and farmers just need to break that mold of thinking that it's supply the processors and let them ship it all around the country.
Well, that mold breaking that you refer to, I guess that Mark's Food Hub is a key sort of part of breaking this mold, of creating a new sort of cultural agreement amongst farmers that they can, hey, you can go direct to the end consumer. And of course, the technology, now that the communications technology is here cost effectively, you can do that. Do you see, could you envisage, Stephen, a time, this is me talking off beam here, you know, one of the things I actually do miss is the sound of the electric milk cart on a morning. I always thought it was the sound of civilization myself when I was a kid. Do you think they could come back for guys like you shifting raw milk out to consumers?
It's highly possible.
Yeah.
That we could have. I mean, you know, let's say, you know, Uber delivery drivers. You know, they're delivering other foods out. Who says they couldn't go around and do the milk deliveries in the morning?
Yep. Uber milk.
You know, something. Yeah, but you know.
Well, why not?
Why not? Why not have a system in place? Because I haven't got time to do it.
No.
But who's to say that these people that's doing, you know, Amazon delivery, you know, whatever, we're all the modern way seems to be having delivery. So why not have your milk delivered?
Are you near a relatively large catchment area of people that?
We're right on edge of Manchester.
Oh, that's great.
We're in a massive catchment area, isn't it? And there is few farms around the Greater Manchester that will be doing it.
Yeah.
People on the other side, people on the south. We don't need to go, but like people have said to me, they're local round here that's come this last day or two, and they've been driving 20 miles to go and get it. And they think it's great because if they're willing to travel 20 miles, it's a big cost. And 2 hours, you know, you've got an hour one way, an hour other. You've got the cost, and just to go and get a few pints of, you know, a few litres.
Well, that's
of milk.
what I'm faced with here. Mine's about 13 miles away, so it's not 20, but it's still
same as me.
Is that right?
I'm about that. Yeah, and
what
I do.
Are they the closest ones? They're the closest ones to you.
The closest ones we've found so far. I've contacted a few others.
Yeah, they haven't got out that comfort zone and do it.
Well, we just don't know that they exist yet. I think it's like there's not an established place where you can just look it up and get tons of them. But Food Hub is going to become that. It's going to become that.
I think we are at the beginning of the food revolution coming. We are at the beginning of it, and I think as more do it, other farmers are going to say we need to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we need to do that. You know, and
But
it's just, it's different, and it's a risk. I mean, the thing is, it's a massive risk we're taking, but I've no other choice. It must be. It's either do this or sell up.
I mean, with your dairy herd. Sorry, Eric. Go on, please. Please, okay. Eric, you speak.
What I was going to say, I wish you every success, but a friend of mine who's a natural doctor, he's nothing to do with the NHS, he deals with natural medicine, he's an acupuncturist and that. He said regarding pasteurised milk, he said the best thing to do if you got raw milk, he said when you make your tea or your coffee, let it cool to temperature till you drink it, and then put the milk in, and it won't pasteurise it. He said you get the better benefits from the milk. So he said don't put the milk in when you put the boiling water on. Just a little something I thought I'd mention. You might want to tell your customers. I don't know, but that's what he told me. He said, if you pour it on,
everybody has their own way of. I suppose some people prefer to put the milk on first. Some people prefer
no. I'm talking about pasteurising, because if you put I know what you mean. Yeah, if you want to pasteurize the milk, you put the boiling water onto it straight away. But if you want the benefits of raw milk, you don't put the boiling water onto it first of all. What you do is you let your liquid cool a little bit and then put the milk in. That's what I was getting at. I know it's a personal taste, but this is the thing. Why buy raw milk when you're going to pasteurize it anyway? So you might as well do what he says.
I get what you mean there. I mean, everybody has their own way of doing a brew, I suppose. It's everybody's personal preference, isn't it? And I mean, some people like it creamier, some people don't. I mean, I've heard
but I'm talking about the health benefits.
I'm
talking about the health benefits of raw milk. I'm not talking about the personal priorities. I'm talking about the personal. I'm talking about the reason why you would do it. It wouldn't be for personal taste. It'd be because you want the raw milk.
Yeah. But no, I mean, end of the day, like our little lad, I mean, he burnt himself many, many years ago. And obviously went to Manchester Children's. The doctors, put the bandage round him like they do because he burnt himself. And he literally went off food. This was one thing. He was only just over one. And he burnt himself on Granny's cup of tea, pulled it off the table, little hand. What can you do? Not can you do it. No, it's nobody's fault. It's just one of them freak accidents. He scalded himself. And he went off his food that week, and all he would do was drink milk. He drunk gallons. Like he just kept saying, "Milk, Mum, milk," and he just kept downing milk.
Right.
And he went to the hospital the next week because obviously they say you've got to come back within a week to check up how he's feeling. And the doctor took the bandages off, and he'd healed. And the doctors couldn't believe. She said to Olivia, obviously I weren't there, she said, "What have you given this child?" And she said, "Well, he's just drunk milk all week." "What type of milk?" "Well, our milk," because obviously she knew we were farmers. Raw, just pure milk, unpasteurized raw milk. She says, "Yes, we've seen this." They know all the amino acids, all the enzymes, all the vitamins and minerals that help repair our bodies that are in the milk, and they're available in raw milk. They aren't available in the pasteurized milk because it kills them. It kills all them organisms that we have antibodies, not antibiotics, antibodies. And they're all really important for how our bodies function. Antibodies, enzymes, amino acids, vitamins, minerals. And pasteurization kills a lot of them. Yeah. And that's what helps repair our bodies. Our bodies know what it wants to eat. And that, that little boy, all them years ago that did that, his body knew what it wanted. And he just said milk. And he was eating food. He just went off food and he said, "Milk, Mummy. I just want milk."
So it was, in a way, inadvertently, Stephen, it was kind of fortunate. If you're going to be a young lad and scold yourself, you want a dad who's a dairy farmer that sells raw milk. Is that right? It's going to help you.
Yeah. Well, the point is healing bones, healing our bodies. I mean, this is like Mark talked about it, healing our bodies. Our whole, we talked about it slightly earlier, our country, our world the food system is so broken now, it's killing us as a people, as a species. We are so sick. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people are so ill, so sick, because they are poisoning their bodies indirectly with the food they consume. They are literally eating junk and toxic substances that are laced in our food. And this gets me on to, the milkshake tax yesterday. So that was another kick in the nuts yesterday from the government, is the milkshake tax they brought in. Wonderful. Let's tax milkshakes. They're doing it. Oh, it's because of the sugar. The sugar's going to kill us. Right. Yeah, the sugar's going to kill us. So what this Labour MP that did actually come out yesterday and speak to some of the farmers. And she said, well, what they'll do is the manufacturers, they won't put as much sugar in and they'll replace it. I said, yes, replace it with fake sugar. Even better. Let's just put that carcinogenic stuff in. Instead of sugar, let's put some carcinogenic substances, replacements in. Fake sugar, which actually is even worse than the real sugar. And that's what they're going to do. So they're going to tax milkshakes. They're going to then, the milkshake flavourings that have a bit of sugar in are now going to become aspartame based instead of sugar based. And that will just toxify milkshakes. Just keep adding that junk into our food system even more. I applauded her and said, well done, you and your government, let's poison some more people. And I applauded her and walked off. I couldn't believe what I'd witnessed yesterday. And I thought they're even going to tax healthy food. That's what this government seems to be about. Tax and destroy anything that's good for us.
I think what you're doing, though, Stephen, is pointing the way attitudinally, and not just in the field of food, but everywhere. We talk about this regularly, that the number one enemy in practically every area of your life is the government. Literally, like as an offhand insult. It's literally true. So, they're staffed by these mediocre people who, they need to get paid at the end of the month. They're going to do whatever they're told. They can't even work the stuff out. Fortunately, we got people like you and Mark and others coming together to teach us, again, to remind us, to restore a sort of true knowledge and understanding of how we have to deal with food straight from the earth. I think I was mentioning today, I was talking about this guy, Jorian Jenks, who wrote all these books about agriculture in the 1930s. And he made this very simple observation, I know, because I mentioned this to you this afternoon when we were talking, that the nearer the food is, this is a common one, I'm sure everybody knows this, the nearer the food is out of the ground to your plate, the better it's going to be. And it's all to do with the health of the soil. And he said, and therefore the amount of disease and poor health will be massively reduced. But of course, I don't believe they want that. I actually think they want an increase in disease because their policies indicate it.
They want the increase in that because they want the increased profits for the pharmaceuticals. They don't want. So I suggested this a while ago to my MP and people. I said, well, I'll tell you what, why don't we have a let's make, Gareth Jones, let's have a food revolution. Let's make food great again. Let's make, what is Gareth's words? I'm trying to remember. Let's build a better Britain on our bellies with better food. And the point is, good food will bring good health. Good health reduces the burden on the NHS. So imagine a country where we could actually halve the budget on the NHS. That's 100 billion, whatever it is, a year, right? What? So we have the government, Miss Reeves, and whole her little wonderful cabinet of people that have got all this mathematical skills, supposedly. Well, you talk of a 22 billion pound black hole, 40 billion pound black hole. Well, let's revolutionise the country and our health, and we can shave 100 billion a year off the annual deficit budget, and we'll halve the NHS budget then. So that 100 billion. So they moan about Brexit and all like that. So we actually could halve the NHS budget. All our services would work better. So you'd be able to see when you're actually poorly, you'd be able to see somebody at the NHS because they wouldn't be overrun. You'd get a better service. You'd have a quicker service. People would be healed quicker because they wouldn't be overrun. but they wouldn't be sicker and their bodies would heal quicker, so they would spend less time in the NHS. And then that would leave those people that work in the NHS, give them a lot more spare time to actually look after our young and our elderly. So the young that need help and the elderly that need help, if the NHS isn't overrun with middle people, the middle-aged people, the young adults and middle age, if the NHS isn't overrun with them, which it currently is, they'd actually have more time to just look after those that need.
Well, I think really what you're doing and what we're talking about here and what Mark was evangelising, rightfully so, on Monday, is we're going to replace the NHS with the National Healthy Food Service. That's really what's needed. It's going to, we won't be looking to the NHS for help because it's shot to bits. I mean, it's really just, it's just another pharmaceutical delivery system. The whole thing, all of these things are to do with corporations using us as profit centres. Mark, we're nearly at the end of the hour. Sorry, Stephen, I just want to say we're nearly at the end of the hour. And what's the name of your company? How would people find you? They're probably going to find you on Food Finders Hub, aren't they? But what's the name of your...
Olivia and Owen, they come up with the brand of Milkalicious. Yeah. And the idea was we called it Milko. And the little gimmick we come up with, it tastes so nice, we named it twice.
Nice. Well, Stephen, I'm looking forward. We're gonna have you on again. We'll have you on again at some other point. We're just coming up to the end of the hour here, and I know that Eric probably is going to badger you or via Mark to try and get you onto his show at some point in the future. And we've got a lot more planned, I'm sure, in working with Mark. So I said that this is just your first. It's your first trial out here, but it's gone great. I've really enjoyed listening.
It's my first. Podcast I've ever done. I've never done this, but like I have been asked, and I'm like, I've never done it, and it was interesting.
There's a lot to talk about, and you're just the sort of guy to talk about it. If there's any more like you, I think this entire project is going to be in safe hands, and I suspect there are.
There is. Well, Will Murray from Scotland. I remember what he said in Liverpool, that the Labour government, and he did that warning. I remember that bit where he said, "You've come for our jobs, to take our jobs.
Yeah.
Well, now we're coming for yours."
Yeah.
And he was basically saying, "We're going to take your jobs off you now. You come to kill our industry. Now we're going to take your jobs, and we're going to replace you." Well, that is what's needed. And that is what's needed. These people that run this country do not know how to run the country, and they need replacing with real people.
I think we just do it direct, like you're going direct to the customer. We're going to go with our knowledge direct to our fellow Englishmen and Scotsmen and Welshmen and wherever you may live, right? We don't need them, and the way that we get rid of them is by creating what we do need, and that's really why... Food Finders Hub is just a great way to deal with one part of it. It just happens to be the most important bit because no food, no audience, nothing.
No, can I go on?
Yeah, say something, Eric.
So he's going to say, what I was going to say is ignore government out of existence because we need them like an elephant needs a hang glider.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Good.
Yeah. What do we need them for?
They are
good.
Complete. I mean, I have witnessed that, and it's so unbelievable. 4 times I've lobbied my MP, nothing in Parliament. I've gone in there, I've lobbied him 4 times, nothing.
What do we need them? We don't need them.
Alan, no, we don't. But the point is Alan went in, his MP come out. Them other lads went in, his MP come out. The Cornish words, the Labour MP come out. Different MPs come out to meet the farmers yesterday. I was the only farmer in there whose MP didn't come out. What does that tell you? He's running scared. He's always been running scared of me.
Well, I'll tell you what. In the next one that we do, Stephen, we'll get stuck into the MPs a bit more. But as a first shot, it's been great having you on. And shout out to Mark. Mark, thank you very much for putting us in touch. And Mark was absolutely right. He said he'd be tuning in, so that's good. He's a busy fella as well. But this is a great sort of week. I've really enjoyed this week on Eric with Mark and here with you. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it's the beginning. Like it is, it's new, unknown territory, but it feels like the beginning of a new you know, a new world, a new adventure, and, you know, call it a new path.
Fantastic.
And it is the beginning. I think this is the beginning of the change that we need.
Good. I feel likewise. Yeah, it's a real it's a proactive thing, and everybody can get involved. Everybody needs to get involved, and it's a very low threshold proposition. Do you want to get good food direct from the farmers? Because everybody knows you guys need supporting as well. So we just need the mechanism to do it, and Mark's putting it into place with guys like you. Stephen, fantastic. Have a cracking week. It's been great having you on. Yeah. I'll be back in touch via Mark or yourself, and we'll get you on to something else really pretty quickly.
Just give us just message, give us a ring.
I'll do that. I'll do that. So Milkalicious, that's Stephen from Milkalicious. Thanks very much, Stephen. We'll be in touch. Right. You're listening to Paul English Live here on WBN. We're going to take a short musical break. And then in hour 2, Monika Schaefer will be here with us.
what you care about, whether you care about health, whether you care about the environment, what you care. If central control is established through financial transactions with a digital ID and an all-digital monetary system, and it doesn't matter whether it's all digital controlled privately, all digital controlled by the central bank, if it is an all-digital system and they can combine it with a social credit system because they've got a digital ID and an all-digital monetary system, suddenly they can control everything. So if they say, oh, we're going to lock down and you can't leave, you can't go more than 5 miles from your house, your money won't work more than 5 miles from your house. If they say you can't buy pizza, your money won't work. If they say your kids suddenly have to go to a government school 100 miles away and they're taking them, if you don't do what they say, they turn off your money. It's complete control. It's a digital concentration camp. And that's why you cannot allow an all digital monetary system with a digital ID.
Christmas ain't what it used to be. Mm-hmm. Nothing is. Unless it's me getting older. Things was cheaper though. A lot cheaper. You could get 5 cigarettes for tuppence then.
They don't make them in 5s anymore, do they?
Well, you never see them.
People smoke more, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, people do seem to be smoking more since the cancer scare. Worry, I suppose. There was none of that then either.
What?
Cancer was all TB then.
They can cure that now, can't they?
Yeah. I suppose as soon as they can cure cancer, they'll think of something else to worry us with. My Uncle Wilf used to say he reckoned it was the government.
What?
He used to give us all these diseases.
It's a bit daft, Mum.
Well, they put them in our food. That's what he used to say.
Mum.
You can taste it in the water sometimes.
That's chloride.
Well, there you are.
They put that in to improve the water.
Well, it don't improve the taste. My Uncle Wilf used to say the only time they've got any use for us, the only time the government's got any use for us is in a war. Rest of the time, he used to say, we're an embarrassment to him. Yeah. He used to say that they only need so many of us to do the things that need doing, and the rest they'd rather be without. So they spray our food, put things in the water to keep us down. Well, they do it to rabbits. He used to grow all his own food.
Everything?
Well, all he could. He only had a window box.
He only had a window box. Hi, welcome back. You listen to Paul English Live here on WBN. Eric, hi, welcome back. Did you enjoy that little clip? That was a good one, wasn't it?
Oh, I like that one. Yes. I also like the banjo music. That was nice. Who was that? Having
I've got a lot of that. That's a band called... I played them the other week, actually. It's a very rare... I can't find any more albums by them. A good chap called Coleman, if he's hearing, he probably isn't, out in Chicago, sent me these a few years ago. And Coleman was somebody I connected with via Eli James, who's on here regularly. And yeah, I love all that kind of stuff. It's because Monika's here, and I thought we better get some fiddle music in, because
nice.
I know she's partial to fiddle music. Monika, hi, good evening to you. Good afternoon.
Greetings. Hello. I love the music and also that little clip. That was just great. You know,
we like clips.
The old granny. She knew what was going on.
Yep, it's a classic. That's an old British sitcom called Till Death Us Do Part, starring the amazing Alf Garnett character, and she was his his long-enduring wife, having to cope with his rants and everything. But Dandy Nichols, that was that actress. It's lovely sort of, and rather appropriate, of course. So we can't play it every week, although we could play it every week because it's appropriate every week right now. So yeah. Anyway, how have you been? Because it's a few weeks. I know you've been on with Eric, but it's a few weeks since we spoke. So how are things over there in jolly old Canada? I suppose they're all as happy and as wonderful as they were the last time.
Oh, geez.
Oh, blimey, that's good. She's doing that without moving her lips.
That was good.
Marvellous ventriloquism, that is,
What's
isn't
that?
It?
That sounded
like
like a police station telephone. Hello, Chiltington 543.
Yeah.
That was wonderful.
If I could show it to you, it is an old black antique telephone from my childhood. This phone is probably 60 years old or so. You know,
really?
it's really the ancient kind. Maybe it's even older, 65. I don't know.
And it still works.
It does.
Wow.
Old things work better. They didn't have built-in obsolescence back when I was born.
No.
I don't know. What do you think?
I agree.
The built-in obsolescence got to be more and more of a thing, so that nowadays you buy, you know, even just a hot water tank. My friend was here the other day, and he's a retired plumber, and he says, I mean, hot water tank, now you're lucky if you get 8 years out of it, whereas that should last 25 years at least.
And another thing, your phone wouldn't work in this country because it's all gone over to digital now. So that you can't use
really?
Phones. Yeah.
Do you not have landlines anymore?
Yeah, we have landlines, but they're digital.
Oh.
So yeah, so that the old phone wouldn't work.
Really? Like you can't plug it in and it would just be the same? No. I mean, I don't. Wow.
Well, yeah, they're disconnecting them all. I think they want everybody on a mobile phone because we must be tracked. We love being tracked with everything that we do, and I think that's part of it.
For our safety, of course. I mean, our dear leader, and as it's, I don't know, do you celebrate Thanksgiving in Canada, Monika?
Well,
no.
We have it earlier, you know, because we're in a northern climate. I suppose that's the reason we have our harvest earlier, and we have ours always the second Monday of October. This year that happened to be October 13th, but generally it's that weekend. So most of the people would have their family, big dinner on the Sunday.
Oh.
So that's always the second Monday of October. That determines the Thanksgiving weekend, so to speak.
So
and
what's that in honor of then?
What
we know what the American one is. It's all the pilgrims rocking up on the shore and everything. But what is the date that's commemorated with your Thanksgiving then?
Gosh, you know what? I don't know. Other than that, I always thought it was to give thanks for the good food and the harvest, and say,
yeah,
that's what I thought Thanksgiving dinner is all about. It's in the name, but I don't know what's you know more than I do about the date for the American Thanksgiving.
I don't know as much as Americans do because it's an American thing. I thought it was to do with the Pilgrim Fathers rocking up there, and they gave thanks because they'd found land, and this was the start of a new adventure and everything. I could be wrong about that.
So you're saying that if they had found the land in, let's say, April 2nd or something, then that would be the Thanksgiving. So it's not to do with the harvesting time of year?
No, I don't think so. No, that's why it's in November. So, they set off here. It took, 3 or 4 months to get across. So they must have set off here in the summertime. They probably tried to pick it for the best seas, I guess. Didn't want the winter seas. They would be rougher and harder. But, of course, they arrived there in November. So it must have been a little bit challenging the last sort of few weeks, I would have thought.
There you go. I learned something new. I learned something new today. It's good to learn something new every day.
And turkeys are not native of Europe, but they're imported from America, North America. I don't think we had turkeys in Europe.
I think you're right about that. That all the food that is traditionally served on Thanksgiving dinner, most of it does come from the Americas, I do believe. There's the Brussels sprouts. I don't know. Did you have those in Europe? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Brussels sprouts, yes,
and cranberries. Cranberries are definitely a North American thing.
I think they are. Yeah, I think cranberries are. I think the Brussels sprout it must be an ancient European thing. I mean, it has to be. I don't know
yes.
We'll probably have to get into the history of vegetables. We're going to do all sorts of food type shows here. I think vegetable history is going to be really exciting. I mean, of course, the sprout is a sort of lethal weapon as well. If you eat too many of them, they can incapacitate. They can incapacitate people quite easily. They're quite a serious vegetable.
And what about potatoes? Sorry, Eric. Go ahead.
I was going to say I'd advise drinking Guinness with Brussels sprouts. They go very well together. You can actually clear the room afterwards.
That was not a serious piece of advice, listeners. If you are outside of England, you do not combine Guinness with Brussels sprouts. Not if you want to remain even mildly popular with your friends. You'll lose an awful lot of brownie points on that one. Yeah, Walter Raleigh brought the potatoes, didn't he, Eric? Walter Raleigh brought the potatoes from America.
Yes, Walter. Yeah. That's right. And he brought tobacco.
They come from South America, I think, don't they, originally?
That's right.
Yeah, he got around a bit. When he wasn't sort of stealing gold off the Spanish, all, of course, under the agreement of Elizabeth I, it was just basically monarchical piracy with Sir Francis Drake. He's very good at it, though. Didn't he circumnavigate the world?
He certainly did, yes.
Yeah, he just said, we get a boat, I'll go all the way around, we'll see what's there. So he did that. Bit of a tough lad. And... so
Plymouth, didn't he?
I think so. Yeah, he did.
Repeat the name of whom you're talking about right now.
Well, he got knighted, Sir Francis Drake. He did come to a sticky end, though, like many of them did. I think he was put in the Tower of London, or probably had his head chopped off because court intrigue and stuff like that. But he wasn't really a bad lad. He's also noted that when Queen Elizabeth was walking along, there was a very large puddle, apparently, so it goes. And he took his cloak off and laid it over the puddle so that she didn't have to get her feet wet. A bit of a smarmy toady, if you ask me. Really sucking up to the monarch like that. But it didn't do him any favours in the end. I think there was intrigue around it. But yeah, he brought tobacco here, so we've got him to thank for that. So cigarette smokers, they should all get a packet of Sir Francis Drake's 20 special tipped, and the potato. This is what he's known for. Without which we wouldn't have fish and chips. So England would be ruined without him. Yeah.
And he imported fags, didn't he? Sorry, that's an English slang because a fag is actually a cigarette in this country.
Yes, it is.
But in America, it means something else. Is it a cigarette? Because I know you can go in and say, I'd like 20 fags, please. And you get a very strange look from the...
Yes, you would. Yes, you would get strange looks because most people think of fag as meaning something else. Like
Yes. But no, it's actually... an English slang term, so it's quite polite over in this country, because you get blokes saying, "Oh, I must have a fag," which means a cigarette.
Yes.
But the other thing is, imagine when you get the turkey. Imagine it looks like your prime minister. It makes the carving of the turkey far more interesting and joyous, isn't it? It's like, as you're carving it, But yes, because we've got Norfolk to thank, because that's where most turkeys are bred, in Norfolk. And who was that bloke that bred them? I can't remember. What was his name?
Bernard Matthews.
Bernard Matthews, yes. He killed more turkeys than almost any other person on earth.
He's one of the greatest mass murderers known to man.
Yes.
It just happens to be of turkeys. Yeah. By the way, on the Walter Raleigh shtick and other little comments here. So my head's sort of on the chat now, just having a quick look. Sorry for ignoring you all for an hour there, but it was quite fun there with Stephen. But Billy Silver writes that Sir Walter stole it from the Spanish, who stole it in the first place. So fair play. Yeah. That's right. It's okay to rob the robber. We're okay with that. And also, Alice Gorgeous, Eric, you'll be keen to know, says this: Eric can't say Brussels sprouts without sound effects. He'll never grow up. Hopefully. I think this is true. I think this is true. Yeah.
But yes, it's yes, that's the thing with Brussels sprouts, and parsnips as well. They're quite nice as well.
I had some sprouts the other day after we went out after I was swanning about having fun last Thursday, and I might even be able to remember what it was all about, but I've just been reading so much since then that's all in my head as well. But the next day we went off to a pub round here called the World's End, and years ago, when my lads were young, we used to take them to a lot of tennis tournaments. There's a big sort of tennis place nearby. I mean, it's only sort of like 2 miles from here. It's a very local drive, very big sort of tennis place. And after we'd finished tournaments and things there, we used to go up there and eat, as you do, When they were very young, though, we took them there and they had this, those rotating sort of sauces where you get ketchup and brown sauce and mustard and in a big sort of silver little bowls, and they rotate on a little, those sorts of things that I'm talking about in restaurants, and I'll have a bit of this. Anyway,
yes.
My son, who was in a high chair at the time, my youngest son, saw this yellow stuff and immediately thought it was custard, but it turned out to be English mustard, and he put a whole spoon in his mouth, poor little bugger. Oh, his face. So we didn't get any photographs, but we should have done. And so this is the same place, and I was boring the waitresses with this tiresome story the other day. But I had a sort of turkey lunch there. It was very, very nice. And then I thought, what was the price of that? It came to about 30 quid, I think, with a pudding and stuff like this. And it was very exotic. But this is Friday lunchtime, and I thought, this is absolutely outrageous. I've been out 3 times in a week. I mean, that's not happened in years. I thought I'd ask them. I said, no, it's a bit late. I was feeling a bit sort of festive. I said, is there any chance of getting a table for Christmas Day? And they said, well, we're fully booked, but there's a few people not put a deposit down yet. I said, okay. So let's take your details, and if they don't want to do it, we'll let you know. So I said, cool, that's okay. So Monday or Tuesday, they sent me an email saying, hey, nobody wants to do it. You can come. I said, oh, that's great. Cool. They'd given me a menu when I left, right? And I hadn't looked at it. And it's kind of blown the deal a bit, because my son, the one who actually ate the mustard 20 years ago, he said, Dad, this is a bit pricey. I said, oh, really? Turns out, same sort of meal, but the Christmas Day version, per head, £110.
Oh.
And I was going to pay for 4, and I thought, 440 quid for one meal.
Wow.
I thought I couldn't bear it. I just can't. I can't. If it was double, I'd go, yeah, it's Christmas Day. It's once a year. That's fine. We might do that. So, no, I'm going to be toiling over a hot turkey and boiling it in the oven or whatever you do with it and getting that ready. So I just thought I'd let you know. And we will be doing a Christmas Day show, Monica. So I'm just letting you know, because this show falls on Christmas Day this year, which will be the last Thursday of December. So I'm sorry about that, but if you want to join us, you're more than welcome. Although you've probably got a life, but me and Eric don't have one, and neither do any of the listeners. Well, they do. They probably have a life.
Other than you're going to be preparing your turkey, no? Or you will be finished eating your turkey.
Oh, yeah, well before
you'll
then.
You'll probably fall asleep. You'll probably fall asleep in the middle of the show.
Yeah, that would make it fun. We could have a turkey sleep fest. I'll just take 15 minutes off. We'll just put a lot of records on in the middle. So we need a nap now. There's a chemical in turkeys. I can't remember. If anybody knows, just type it in. It contains something, does turkey, that chicken, for example, does not contain. I forgot the name of it.
Oh.
And that's what makes you go to sleep. It's in the turkey meat quite naturally.
Really?
Yeah, it's a slumbersome thing that's in there. Those evil turkeys. They're going to take over the world by getting everybody to eat them, and then you all fall asleep, and then they'll rise up. There'll be a turkey rebellion before we know it. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah.
But they're the ugliest. I think they're the ugliest bird in the world. I mean, they're not exactly attractive. I mean, how do they?
I don't know. I've seen a few up in Yorkshire.
They've got very bad eyes. They've got a bad eyesight, have they? I mean, they must sort of. What is it about turkeys? Gobble, gobble. Yes. And the stupid ones vote for Christmas, don't they? Look forward to it. Or Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we seem to mimic them to some degree by people still voting for political parties and things like that. So,
yes.
Yeah. Anything on your mind, Monica? I don't mind if there's nothing. You could just start whistling or playing your fiddle if you like. I'm in a very relaxed mood tonight.
Is Alfred all right?
Yeah, thanks, Eric, for asking about Alfred. So I haven't yet received direct news from him. Mail goes slowly, and I don't think he's received my letters yet, or maybe there's something on the way. But anyway, he is in Bernau, which is southeast of Munich on the Chiemsee. Now, he has been to that prison before when he went for the 6-month jail term for showing how high his dog Pavlov can jump during the previous jail term. So he was put, essentially in a cage for just doing that nice little straight arm gesture in the courtyard, and you can't make this stuff up. But anyway, he was there. That was from August of 2023 till February of 2024. And at that time, he had actually a very reasonable time, and like a good time there, considering he was in prison, because he was working in the gardens or the greenhouses, I'm not sure. But anyway, he had that all day. He could work amongst the plants and fresh air, and it was just wonderfully therapeutic to be doing that. Now, I know from his wife that he has asked them for a job in the gardens again, but they told him that those positions were filled, with other prisoners already. And so I don't know. I don't have any further update from that. But if people would like to write a letter, you can find his address on either of the two websites, freespeechmonica.com or truthandjusticeforgermans.com. And you can find his address. And I just want to emphasize again how important it is for the prisoners to receive mail. I know that for me, it was really like a lifeline. And it also shows the authorities, the so-called authorities, that the political prisoner is not forgotten, that people are noticing, people are watching it, and people are supportive. And now sometimes people ask me, how much can they write? I mean, or how much what should they write? They don't know what to write because they don't know him. They've never met him. They're not a personal friend or relative or whatever, but that part doesn't matter. I mean, it can range anything from just sending a nice postcard with a greeting on it, or sending a letter, like just, in an envelope. And you can write anything really, just a greeting, say, you're make it friendly. And I mean, sometimes people would write to me about their latest walk in the woods and describe nature to me. And I found those to be so beautiful to read. So even things like that are good, but you can write about, what's going on where you are. You can write about anything really. In Germany, at least that's our experience. The mail, most of it gets through. I mean, there were some things that were held back for me, which were ridiculous. For example, a letter, they showed it to me in the office, but they said, I can't have it. and they put it into the storage for when I got out. Then I got the letter, but it was a letter from a friend in the United States, and she used a picture of the Dresden scene after the Allies had bombed it to smithereens and burnt it out. And there's quite a famous picture that is, widely seen on the internet and whatnot of Dresden. And that was on one side of the paper. On the other side of the paper, she hand wrote her letter. She used that essentially as letter paper. Well, they didn't let me have that because they deemed it too dangerous. Think about the irony of that. What was dangerous about it? I mean, here, I guess for them, I don't know, did the picture for them, they thought, oh, it depicts the outcome of violence. But you think about it, this was Dresden, a German city. I was in a German prison. The bombed out ruins of a German city was too dangerous for me to have in my prison cell. I don't know, what were they thinking? That was bizarre to me. So, okay, this is a long story short. Some things do get held back. So people are always wondering, well, if you're writing to Alfred for the first time, just make it quite a neutral thing. You can really write about anything,
Can you have pictures of anything, though? I mean, suppose you took a nice country view and took a picture of it and stuffed it in. Would they allow that through, or is it too heavy?
Yes, they do allow photos. I think there were rules about how many photos I could have in my cell at any one time. So then I'd have to put some into storage if there were too many on my pin board, for example. But people were allowed to send photos.
I suppose books would be out of the question.
No,
I guess,
yeah, exactly.
No books, yeah.
Don't send a book. It won't. Well, it'll just be stored, and then they don't just burn it or confiscate it, but it'll go into the storage. And
you get that afterwards. I mean,
when he gets released, he can take it home. But there's no point in sending a book.
Yeah,
it won't get to him. So just letters.
It's got to be reading that they want you to read, nothing else.
Well, actually, I'll tell you something. Alfred read a lot of books during, the when he was in jail for a long time. He read a lot of books, and there was a prison library, and he read. There were quite amazing books there available for the prisoners to read. For example, he read the Gulag Archipelago books by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Those were in the prison library. He read all that. He read Alexander Solzhenitsyn in the German prison.
Wow. I bet Mein Kampf isn't in there, though.
No, probably not. And he read Gone with the Wind, which is such a famous story about the South, which now I think they want to ban it from school libraries because it depicts the South of the United States in a more accurate way and in a favorable way to the people there, instead of just vilifying them just like they vilify all Germans for all time, So the Southerners, they get the same treatment as the Germans do in terms of falsified history and, depicting the Southerners as being really bad.
It's the same sort of propaganda tactic repeated multiple times throughout history whenever they want to demonize an enemy. Happens every single time. It really does. Yes. Somebody kindly sent me, and I do mean this as well, you might, an interview with Piers Morgan. Now, if you know Piers Morgan...
I've seen him.
Yeah. Okay, so he's not our finest export, but he's professional at what he does. I think that's what we can say. And I'm sure maybe I could have a conversation with him where I might enjoy 5% of it, but the rest of it's going to be pretty difficult for someone like me. Anyway, Tucker Carlson interviewed him. I've not watched or listened to the whole thing. I've just got through the first 40 minutes, but I had to stop because I was getting quite wound up. You know when you watch something and you can't control yourself? I thought, this is ridiculous, right? I've got to stop this. The reason I was getting wound up, it was illustrative of something as well, which is I think many people here that tune in and have heard you or me or Eric over the years know where we're at with our observations regarding the perversions of history, particularly with regards to the last century. And I forget, I just can't help it because I don't want to spend time in the space of the accepted lie. I don't want to do that. I know what it is. I know it backwards. It was taught to me at school, and it's a waste of my time, basically. But when they got round to talking, they're talking about the decay of England. It's quite brilliant, really, because Tucker Carlson's defending the English, and Piers Morgan is just mad. He's not a lefty, but he's tolerant of things which are completely in line with wiping us out without being able to see it. And this is interesting, but it is infuriating to hear it as well at the same time. Or I did. I found, look, I'm getting a bit cross. I don't normally get cross recently. I've been kind of calm. But sometimes I guess it's good for something to get your goat. Anyway, they got round to just talking. Carlson brings up what has happened to this country since 1945, to Britain. Why is it fallen apart? Because they're not likely to get to the answer with the context that they've got. They're not although Carlson's much closer to it, because he had that, I've forgotten his name now, but maybe 6 months back, he had an American chap on, of course, who was denigrated as being a sort of hobbyist historian. For me, I read, a person who's done his own independent research and therefore is much more likely to be telling the truth, which turned out to be the case. I've forgotten his name. It was an excellent interview, and it caused quite a ruck on Twitter and things like this. And Carlson's talking to him about what's happened. He doesn't really know, and I don't expect them to really, really know, because they'd have to talk about things that they really are not allowed to talk about, as you well know, right? But the gist of it was, at this particular point, Morgan starts to basically defend, not in a big way, it was just sort of a passing part of the thing, but it's enough to sort of get my goat, Churchill's actions that he said, what did he say? He said, they brought him out of retirement because he was the only one that could spot the danger, and he basically saved the country. And I'm sort of puking here at home. I'm puking, really, sort of emotionally, want to vomit at the sheer stupidity of what he's just said. I mean, it's just asinine. And then, as I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, this is what I'm saying, I don't spend time in the mainstream narrative. Why would you, when you've pried around in things for 15, 20 years and you really know the score? And I just thought, good grief, it's true. I've got to remind myself, the vast majority of people still adhere to that story and don't examine it. Carlson began to sort of examine it a bit, where he said to him, he said, yeah, but Germany didn't declare war on you. And Morgan's response was, he said, well, no. He said, they hadn't even invaded England. Well, no, but they were going to. At which point I'm saying, but there are 37 letters of peace offerings in Kew Gardens.
That's right.
Morgan, don't you know about those? Don't you know about the Anglo-German union between people like Admiral Domville and others to try and avert this at all costs? The military men knew exactly how stupid it all was. And, but, I had to just hear him say this, and I thought, well, this is the sort of conversation that's going to take place in a pub all over the place, even now. And I'm reminded of just another observation, which won't be new to either of you here or most of the listeners, which is that we still live, this is what struck me again, I thought, good grief, we actually really do still live under the shadow of the complete misunderstanding of what was taking place there, because Morgan, from that understanding, cannot possibly be able to understand what's happened to here and Western Europe after 1945 without tunneling into the dirty roots of the whole thing. He's never going to get it. And there's unfortunately millions of other people like that are only going to hear his side of things, in spite of the fact that we've got people like David Irving and Alfred Schaefer and others, and Monika Schaefer and people here who've spoken out about this. It's to do with the scale of the platform. So, but Carlson, I've got to give him his credit. Anyway, that's only 40 minutes in. I think I've got about 45 minutes to go. And apparently I've been told it kicks off even more, because Carlson F's and blinds a couple of times, which I was quite impressed with. There's a few F-bombs in there. And it's shot in London. Wow. Yeah, he couldn't even get in. I mean, when he was saying to him, he said, when I came into the airport, he said they had to check me out again. Morgan finds this rather amusing. I find it really sinister and disgusting and wretched. And Carlson also makes it's very interesting always. I'm sure Americans would like this, to get the reflection of an Englishman who'd been in America for a bit. I can't give you that because I've not been there for a long time. But when you see Americans that have moved here recently and their observations of the British way of life, it reminds you of many of the things that we know are disappearing. This is what is saddening in a way. I love it that they're enchanted with certain things, and it reminds me of that. But also you see that that it's going. And this is what Carlson's talking about. He said, look, he said, basically he says, I'm an Anglophile. He said, this is the biggest empire, so-called, that ever existed. He said, and you did a lot of good things. That's the gist of it. I'm going, we did, actually. There's a lot of good stuff. And he's talking about common law and Magna Carta and the first country really to enforce freedom of speech. This is 800 years ago, right, nearly. And all these sorts of things that have been fought for and lost and have to be fought for again and again and again and again. And we're right in the middle of one right now. It's really massive. I think even the food stuff with Stephen just now is addressing a really singular and very important part of it. And he was just saying, he said, if you look at old photographs, he said, of England, he said, everybody's smartly dressed. We've talked about this, Eric, haven't we? He said, everybody's smartly dressed. He said, the place is really clean and tidy. And this observation's good as well. He talks about, Carlson starts talking about the Red Indians. Now, you've got to sort of take it both ways. There's some good aspects. There's some very, very bad aspects to Red Indian behaviour. I should know because I've just started reading Thomas Goodrich's, for the second time, his story about the West, and this title escapes me right now. I should have it in front of me.
Scalp dance? Is that
Scalp dance. I just read through 3 or 4 chapters of it last night to shudderingly remind myself of how foul that fight was after the Civil War. People don't realise that it's never been covered right at all. It's just been romanticised. It's complete baloney as usual. You've got to, and if you want the truth on historical stuff, Tom's your man. And God bless him, he passed away about a year ago this month. So hope you're doing okay, Tom. And but Carlson makes this observation. He said, Red Indians. He said in these accounts that they had, he said, although they were savage fighters, the American troops, military, respected them because of their dignity, in a way. They did have that. They had a great strength about them. He said, and now what are they like? He said, they're not a stupid people, he said, but they are a defeated people, right? In the heart. We've got to pay note to this. It's true. He said, and they get plenty of money, and yet they're not alive in the way that they were. And he said, when I look at the English, I'm looking at the same thing, and it gave me the creeps, and I thought he's absolutely right. He said, and it ain't just England, it's all over what we would used to refer to as Christendom. This is true. So I'm not going to use the word defeated, heavily demoralised at the moment. I don't go in for defeat because we're going to rise up again, through food and other channels.
That whole topic about the North American Indians, I'm very close to this topic, and I have a little bit of a different take on this, what's going on with them now than certainly the mainstream. I mean, they are concocting the narrative right before our very eyes, which, you soon can go to jail for asking for evidence for their ludicrous claims. But anyway, that's a huge topic, and I've spoken about it many, many times, and I will continue to do so. I did a little protest action a couple of weeks ago, which I can tell you about if you like. But first, I would really like to just comment on, I listened to most of the first hour there with your guest, Stephen, about farming and mostly talking about raw milk and whatnot, because he's a dairy farmer. Of course, that makes sense. And I was, this is something. Did you know that it's illegal to sell or buy raw milk in Canada? I mean,
I think you may have mentioned it on a previous show, but it's good to be reminded of this.
That
stuff.
Tells you something. I mean, when the government makes something illegal, such as raw milk, then it's really, really good for us. Because, I heard that, or I'm finding out the government isn't always doing something for us, even though they tell us, oh, this is for your own safety and this is for your own good. And we love you so much. We just want to take such good care of you. So, raw milk, it's only if you own the cow. So that's it, But how do they do this? How do they get away with making things like raw milk or raw milk cheese against the law? Well, they invent some sickness, some illness that somebody got. So somebody died of raw milk, some disease that they got from the raw milk. That's how they do it, right? Then they get everybody to think, raw milk is dangerous for you. It's very dangerous. So you wouldn't want to have that. And we better make a law about it because we want to protect you all from getting that disease that somebody got, you see. So I would love to ask Stephen that question, how he would respond to that one.
Mm-hmm.
And you might take note of that for the next time you have him on, because I know you did say that you would like to have him back on.
I think he's going to be popping up all over the place. It's funny that his actual audio connection tonight was nowhere near as good as the one I got with him this afternoon. It was absolutely crystal clear this afternoon. It's unfortunate, but that's live broadcasting. Sometimes we just get things a bit bogged down. But he's a very lively guy. He's very lively, and you can. It's like there's a complete. It's like there's a dam being put on him, and behind it there's about 10 trillion words that need to come out, and he's got to be heard. And he's not the only one. I suspect many of the farmers are in this extremely energized and focused state because of what's happening to them. And in a way, you know, they're absolutely the place for us all to focus, because whenever a people are enslaved, the steady and slow enslavement and subjugation and subduing of people's spirits takes place through the control of the food that they give them to eat. It's just absolutely. I know it sounds mad, but it's true. I mean, it
is true.
In 2031, a mere 6 years from now, it will be the 750th anniversary of the Peasants' Revolt here in England in 1381, which is not spoken about anywhere near enough, and it's massively important. And it also tells us yet again that there's nothing new under the sun, absolutely nothing. And what occurred there was that the feudal lords would share notes on how much food to give the serfs working on their land. They would. It's like a big communications exchange. The aim was to feed the peasants just enough to keep them working, but not enough to make them strong. It's simple as. And so this is so that's 750 years ago, and you can bet they didn't invent that. Whenever a people are taken over, you control. In other words, it's the soft kill that's the devastating one. A bit like I would suggest what we're undergoing here in terms of the culture. All of the things are basically, they're being mangled. Everything is being hideously mangled, you know, from the architecture to the clothing to everything. And that's why we've got this kind of distressed energy about us, because we are distressed. We're a distressed people at the moment, not just here in England, but across the West. You can see it. Slobism is on the rise. People are overweight all over the place. The food industry has played its role in that. And I think, obviously, you know, linking through to the pharmaceutical industry, they're just basically viewing us as a lump of meat to harvest. They'll tax harvest you first, and then they want you to pay for medicine that you wouldn't have to take if you were eating good food. So they make sure that the food's not that good. And also, by having it distributed across European distribution and North American distribution networks, they can control you through that, because the middlemen control the distribution networks, just like they do in banking, just like they do with the internet. It's the middle guy. The exchange point is where all the trouble starts. They have to take their cut, apparently, you know, and it ends up in 1,000 cuts for the peasants like you and I, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But
no,
also,
everything. Go ahead, Eric.
Oh, thank you. They're pushing all this vegetarian stuff, like vegetarian burgers and things like that. And when you look back in history, it was the royalty that had the swan. They ate meat, the peasants that ate the grains, because they wanted the peasants to be strong when they're young, and when they got old, they'd be a liability. So they wanted them to pop their clogs quickly. So they fed them on lower grade grains and things. They didn't have meat.
Yep.
But the royalty had meat. But going back,
let me just jump in there. Remember what you're going to say, because I've got a list in front of me. Right, this is really interesting. Medieval England, 1300s. I've just found it. I've lost a lot of things for the show in my bumblesomeness this week, but I haven't lost this one. There were in medieval England in the 1300s. There were things called sumptuary laws. Sumptuary laws are things that basically constrain people over what they can eat and wear. Okay? Not good. Really, really bad. Bad stuff. Sumptuary laws. Sumptuary laws legally restricted peasants to dark bread, rye and barley, vegetable stew, root vegetables, and watered ale. Now, watered ale was standard anyway. It's 0.5% alcohol, and the reason for that was that people were defecating in all the rivers, and therefore you couldn't rely on rivers for good drinking water. You couldn't do it. At least they knew that the beer they had to boil the water before they made the beer and all this kind of stuff. Hunting meat, if you hunted meat, you'd be executed for that. Okay, this is in England, right? You'd be executed if you hunted the king's deer, like Robin Hood did. Okay, can't do that. Nobles ate roasted meats daily, game birds, venison, boar. Venison always sounds so fabulous, doesn't it? Butter, cream, cheese, white bread and wine. Nobles lived 20 to 30 years longer. They were taller, stronger, healthier. So in the 1350s, peasants were legally restricted to grains and minimal meat. 2025, dietitians are recommending what? Grains and minimal meat.
Correct.
It's the same agenda, just delivered today with modern high-tech advertising and earnest guys in lab coats telling you that you shouldn't eat meat and all this kind of other stuff. Yep.
History repeating itself every time.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was going to say, going back to Churchill, apparently we went to Poland's aid for its freedom in 1939 when war was declared on Germany. But in 1945 they're quite happy to give away Poland's freedom to the Soviet Union. Weird, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Think it through.
Well, they also failed to mention in that little brief exchange that that Russia also invaded Poland, but we didn't wage war on them.
Precisely. And we had a similar agreement with Tibet. And in 1964, when China invaded Tibet, we didn't declare war on China either. How strange.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's surprising what they can dig up when they want to. And it, as I've always said, is a war that should never have happened. And that's what my father's always said when he was alive. It should never have happened.
It was basically a war meant to, kill the best.
Yeah.
Kill
the best of them, right?
It's the brothers' war. That's all.
Brothers' war.
Yeah.
But misled brothers. This is the thing.
Absolutely, because
all of them were deceived. All of them. I'm paraphrasing that from Tolkien, but all of them were deceived, and they were, and many know it now. Many know it. Of course, they've just waited so long until they've all died off, which most of them, of course, would do because it's been a long time. But this is why these people can't explain what's taken place fully. It's always there's a massive hole in the narrative that they're giving in terms of the mainstream narrative around these events. They don't understand that there's an agenda at play, and of course they always fail to take into account the role that the banks play in these things. It's such a surface observation based on emotion and rage and revenge, and they can't do that. And he was going to take over the whole of Europe. Really, was he?
Oh, the whole world. Not even just
everything.
The whole of Europe.
Absolutely, because it's just logical. That's what intelligent people would do. They would start to wage war on everybody all at the same time. Not.
Basically, what those who perpetrated the war, and we know who they are.
Yep.
They project onto their intended victim that what they are doing, because they are wishing to rule the world, and they're fast at it right now.
Yep.
When this COVID scam started, wasn't it interesting how media from all over the world were using the same buzzwords, the same phrases to talk about what's going on with COVID. And how could that be unless it was a hidden hand that is directing this? So they go a bit crazy when they think they've got it all done, and they make a lot of mistakes, and people are waking up. I am not pessimistic about outcome in the end. I mean, it's pretty dark times right now. We're living in interesting times, but you could say also very exciting time to be alive.
Yep.
it's an amazing time to be alive, actually. Like what is going on right now, this is a pivotal point in our history. And Alfred sometimes says what our ancestors would give just to come back for even just a day to be with us right now in this time that we're alive, you know. So that's one way to look at it for people who might get discouraged by what's going on right now. But we are all at a time in history we can, each and every one of us can do something, and it's not up to us to prescribe what that is, because if we told you what to do, that would only take away your own capability, your own imagination of what you can do in this war that is, you know, we did not start this war, we did not want this war, but we do find ourselves in a war. So it is up to every one of us to do something, be a warrior. Right. And it's not conventional warfare that we know. It's not the conventional warfare with, you know, guns and bombs and trenches, although guns and bombs are being dropped in parts of the world where they shouldn't be being dropped. But I think you all know what I mean. This war is against us in what you call the West.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a warfare that's based on using the sort of channels of civilizational control against the people that built the civilization. It's like it's a virus, and it's infected what we would say is the not always weak mind, but the psychopathic and liberal-minded type of individual. I know I see a lot of shows now really tunneling into psychologically profiling how these people have come about, the condition that they're in. One of the things that Carlson was saying in the interview was he said that there are certain white people that he cannot stand. And I know exactly what he's talking about. He was talking about the people that write for The Guardian. So he's up to speed. I don't know if you know what The Guardian is, Monika, but it's just
yes, I used to. Oh yes, I used to subscribe for years until I woke up.
Yeah, well, it wasn't the sort of insane asylum that it's become. All of these newspapers, when you look into the history, it started off as the Manchester Guardian a long time ago, and it was needed at the time. It was counterpoint to try and represent the working man who was having the proverbial, excrement kicked out of him. So many of these things, if you look at the start of nearly all of these things, liberalism at the time in the 1800s, you look at them in the context of the times, they make complete sense. They really do. They were having to deal with something else. But so they all start off good. They all then become powerful. And as soon as there's power there, they immediately begin to cave in, because there's a certain sort of power acquisitive group and groupings that move in there and pervert them away from their original cause while still retaining the name. We've had people over here still voting for Labour, I guess somewhere in their head. They think it's the Labour Party that used to exist just after the war, when there seems to have been a need for it. Although, with hindsight and stepping back further, you see that it's basically just soft-killed communism. That's really what it was. It was always moving towards that. But at the time, its appeal was strong because they were fed up of being bossed around. And, if we look at, say, the Peasants' Revolt, and I'm just going back to it, you've got really a very distinctive class system. It's never gone away from here. Highly distinctive based on cruelty. Terrible cruelty to the peasants that revolted. They had their hands and feet chopped off. They were hung. The king was only 14 years of age at the time, Richard II, right? 14. He died at 30. He reneged on all his promises. And in deliberations with Wat Tyler out in the marketplace, they killed him. The mayor came up and stabbed him in the neck and killed him. But they all drew round him and pretended that they'd had a little discussion to the crowd. This sort of lust for control and the complete indifference to the welfare of the very people that form part of the overall club, the major part, I would suggest. The only club worth being in is the Peasant Club, and I'm a founding member, or at least I'm a current member of it. They just treat them like dirt. I'm not saying anything new here, but these things are repeated. So the savagery in English history needs to be known, and people don't know it. They've still got a rosy picture about certain kings and monarchs. And when you look into what they did, it's all about this lust for the acquisition and retention of power. I mean, we had the Wars of the Roses over here. That's all it was. It was just a big, massive fight for decades. People literally slaughtering one another all over England non-stop because of this requirement for human beings to at least have some dignity in their life, you know. So they found a subtler way to deal with it after that. But now they've had enough of us. You know, they sort of burnt us all out, and most of Europe during the 20th century. Now it's time for communism, everybody. Globalism's going to save the world. No, it ain't. It's what's caused all the trouble in the first place. It's been the viper in the bosom, as we all well know, I suspect. Yeah.
When I was at university, that would have been in the late 70s, early 80s in Edmonton, Alberta, I remember there was something like propaganda piece being handed out at whatever events or just students on campus. And it was a little postcard that had a picture, an image, not a picture, but an image of the globe and one world government printed at the top. Like it was an open statement about how, you know, one world government, we should all, you know, strive towards one world government. Do I ever wish I had kept samples of that propaganda? But I didn't over the years. You know, you don't keep everything that you ever collected. But that would be so interesting to have that little piece of evidence that from then, and then to maybe research who was putting this out, what's the group, you know, what's the name of the organization and who are they affiliated with. But, you know, in recent years, when I've been learning so much about, you know, real history and what's going on in the world, I've often thought about that, you know, late 70s or early 80s at the University of Alberta, there were campus groups. Somebody was handing out these cards that were, you know, saying we should have one world government. Wow. Amazing, isn't it?
Yep. But I remember those things because it seemed appealing at the time. It's all to do with what the current sort of mood is with the news cycle. It doesn't really matter what the ideas are. It's always nudge, nudge, nudge towards more centralised control of everything. And with it, the loss of the true vibrancy of local and street and family life. The more power is centralised, the worse it gets. It's literally a cancer. It's like when we're talking about cities as well, you know, in terms of living in them. And everything that happened to the people in England that were pulled off the land during the Industrial Revolution, they bred these hovels, which Dickens talks about. That's what was going on, just grinding people through the Industrial Revolution. And of course, we look at it and we go, well, we created some great stuff. Well, someone did, yeah, but there's a lot of people's lives were absolutely destroyed by that. Exo's written quite a few times in here about the textile mills and stuff like that in England up in the 1800s. The average life of an English worker was way, way shorter than an African slave in America. Shorter.
Yeah.
Just worked to death. And that's the 1800s. The peasants' revolt's the 1300s. They're doing exactly the same thing now. It's just done with a bit more sophistication. And we do live a more comfortable life. They've put us, but what they've done now is they've put us in a gilded cage to some degree, and they've worn out the quality of the soul, as it were. They've burnt that bit. Anyway, we're coming to the end of hour 2, and we're about to depart from WBN. So we'll be back again same time on WBN next week, 3 p.m. Everybody in the States that's listening in, have a fantastic rest of Thanksgiving Day. Hopefully you all eat far too much turkey and fall asleep for the rest of the day, but it's peaceful and you have good slumbers. As I said, we'll be back again at the same time next week. We're going to have a little song, then we're carrying on into the third hour. If you want to join us, go over to paulenglishlive.com and you can click the Rumble or YouTube link and other links there, and we'll carry on. We'll play another little... This is another little fiddle song. I just found one, especially for you, Monica. This is another nice one.
Oh, thank you.
And this is farming. This is called Sally in the Turnip Patch. Right? Sally in the Turnip Patch.
Sounds good.
Yeah. We'll be back after this.
I used to believe everything I'd see on the news, but that's before I discovered a brain.
A brain is meant for everyday use. Those living with moderate to severe stupidity have seen immediate improvement in common sense with a brain.
I thought the government had my best interests at heart, and then a friend told me about a brain.
Talk to your doctor about what news sources you obey. A brain may also lower your desire to take life-altering advice from celebrities.
Getting lectured about my carbon footprint from people with 3 private jets used to make sense. But thanks to a brain, now I can think for myself every day. When my disregard for 3rd grade biology began to flare up, I knew it was time for a brain.
Do not try a brain if you're allergic to a brain. Common side effects may include accountability, discernment, homeschooling your kids, a better understanding of economics, awareness of the stupidity of socialism, and diarrhea.
For tethering yourself to reality, the only no-brainer is choosing a brain. Ask your doctor if a brain is right for you.
For more information, visit tryabrain.com.
Oh, well, I've just put mine back in. I just put mine back in.
Yes.
That was priceless. That was great.
Well, during the lockdown, plenty of people said, I'm sorry, I can't wear a mask because I've got FFB. And FFB, yes, fully functioning brain. But no, it's. I think that the way we are now, I'm optimistic also, Paul, because I think something that we least expect will turn up. And when you look through history, something unexpected does turn up. And I actually think that people like Keir Starmer are a blessing in disguise, because they're showing people how evil communism is. Because most communism, look at Chairman Mao, the peasants got him in because he promised them all kinds of goodies and then did a U-turn once he got into power. But Keir Starmer doesn't promise all kinds of goodies. So he's shown us how evil communism is from the beginning. So maybe, things are not that black. Just wonder what your feelings are on this.
Well, I thought Stephen addressed it as well, where he said that the one thing that they're thankful of this government is that it's pulling all the farmers together.
Yes.
Yeah. Because they are pushing their agenda so fast that, even normal people are saying things like there's something not quite right. Now, we've been saying things like that for decades, right? So we go, well, yeah, that's obvious. But it's never been obvious to them. You've got to, we've got to keep our eyes peeled all the time, looking for good signs out there amongst what we would call, your average working Joe, as it were, because it's happening. It is happening. And I think the thing about the food stuff is that it's the overlap, the footprint of it covers it covers everyone. In other words, it's something that we actually do all have in common. Probably everybody's eaten some food today, and they're going to do the same tomorrow and the day after that, and as long as they keep living. So it's not, you don't need to go into some big intellectual discussion about its importance. People are hardwired with it. I mean, getting across the idea or the understanding that there are actually better quality foodstuffs and that there really is a way to improve it. I mean, I was reading that thing. I mentioned this guy, Jorian Jenks, right? Really interesting guy. I mean, it's worth looking up. Anybody that's called Jorian for a state, Jorian. And he was born into a very wealthy family and got a very good education and wasn't interested in the path laid out for him. He wanted to be a farmer. And so he went down to New Zealand, studied that for a bit, came back, set up a farm. Maybe I said this earlier in the show. I don't know. I said it earlier to Stephen today. And it went bust. His farm went bust because it was the late 20s, early 30s with the Wall Street thing. And he really began to look into the whole thing. He discovered, of course, that the political parties are useless and that they were much more interested in international trade. That's what globalism was called back then. They wouldn't have called it. It wasn't fully as fleshed out and as mad as it is now, but that was the beginning of it, international trade. And therefore they couldn't, they don't understand farming. They don't. City types don't. You remember that guy, that clip that I played? I can't remember his name. That lunatic, seriously. The guy that was the aide to Blair, I can't remember his, Muck something or other. He was interviewed on talk radio and he said, well, we should do to the small farmers what Margaret Thatcher did to the miners. And the interview goes, what? This has just gone very, very weird. And he goes on, he said, yeah, we don't need them. He doesn't, because he's mentally ill. Because he's literally mentally ill. He's an ideologist. And his ideology is Fabian socialism and all this other guff that they've been imbibing in their cozy city university life. That's all he knows, But he certainly shouldn't be let anywhere near the reins of power.
And I can guarantee he lives in a crap hole and nowhere near the country. They always are city people. Mm-hmm. They live in the heart of cities. They don't know what the countryside is like even. And I mean, what's happening in Canada, Monica, regarding farmers? Are they up in arms about what's happening similar to in the UK?
There were actually some tractors going to the cities, and I didn't really see much about it. I didn't really follow it closely. I was, preoccupied with so many other aspects of our war here. But yes, farmers are up in arms in Canada for sure. Like, you're not going to get people driving their tractors en masse like that unless they are really, mad. So, excuse me. So, yeah, I mean, not lately, actually for a long time, they've been killing a lot of farm animals, always in the name of protecting us from disease, right?
Yeah.
And the latest was the ostrich. They killed all those ostriches, and that kind of went around the world. It became a famous case. It was a little bit different with the ostrich case because they were not food animals, and they were not raising them for eggs either, as far as I know. And they had said something about that they were using, like, these were research animals, and so some got sick last December, and then the rest recovered and were very healthy, and then 11 months later they go and slaughter them. I always said that's about as logical as going into a small town and saying, oh, we notice or we remember that some people got sick here and died last winter, and gee, the rest of you look pretty healthy, but we're going to kill you off anyway because we don't want there to be any chance of infecting the rest of the population from other towns around you. So we're going to just murder you. We're going to just kill you off. All these, the healthy survivors who, well, let's not call them survivors, just ordinary people. But now in this case, the ostriches, that's what they did. They culled them, and they didn't retest them. Not that I believe in that anyway. That's all bogus anyway, because I do not believe in this virus theory. And I think that is a concocted thing.
It's all really concocted, Monica, isn't it all? I think the killing of the ostriches is not logical from our common sense point of view, but that's not the currency that they operate on, is it? I think it's part of a psychological...
They didn't have the brain.
Well, I think they have got a brain. I think they have got...
listen to the ad.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they could do with one that works properly. They do have brains, but they really are mangled. And I think if you look at what their goal is, which is to wipe us out, these are sort of psychological blows. Everybody got, understandably, emotionally concerned about the ostriches. It's completely out of order. That was the purpose for it. That was the goal. They wanted you to become what you became because you're normal, decent people. They wanted you to be outraged. They wanted you to be seen to be powerless to do anything about it. That's another thing. Aren't they also in Canada really pushing this assisted suicide crap all over the place?
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
It is huge. Actually, we could do a whole show on that.
Mm-hmm.
The rate of this method of death made medical assistance in dying, so MAID, euphemism for basically murder by government, but it's spreading. Like, they are pushing it. They are really, really pushing it. And guess what? Just by coincidence has gone up. Organ donation. So these two things are not unrelated. They encourage people, this would give meaning to your life and donate organs. And the organ donation industry, and that's what it is, it's huge. And there's a lot about it that most people have no idea about. Like, it has come to my understanding, maybe, correct me if I'm wrong about this. I haven't done a super deep dive into it, but my understanding of it is that the first drug they give, and this is with MAID as well. So either or both. You know, if you're donating your organs or you're going to do this medical assistance in dying, the first drug they give is a paralyzer. It paralyzes you. You're not dead yet. So if they are going to harvest organs, you're going to feel it. But you cannot speak, you cannot scream, you cannot move, you cannot twitch, you cannot do anything, but you're aware. And then the same thing now with just taking the medical assistance and dying, that if, you know, even if you were not donating your organs, that is what has come to my understanding, is that the first drug there again is this paralyzing drug, and then the next one basically drowns the victim because their lungs fill with fluid and they're drowning, but they can't move, they can't scream, they can't, you know, gasp or protest. So this is a tortuous death. Now, I might be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. If people in the, you know, listening to this say, no, she's out to lunch, whatever. But this is what I've seen in articles or documentaries. And this is absolutely horrendous. Like it's like a ritual murder.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
it is. It's a ritual. Yeah. There's something. It's a bit like the bloodletting of the wars of rituals. That there is this Baal cult involved at the highest levels of all things. This is all these pedo rings. Everything is. It's literally everything that's good and decent in the world that falls under the laws of nature, the laws of God, are to be rebelled against. And that's what they do. They've been doing it so long. They're at the most diseased level of cruelty you could possibly imagine. And I think it's just dressed up. Oh, you'd be like, I know, I think with the organ removal, it's got to happen really quickly. No way would anybody's having my organs. If they came up to me and said, well, you could save someone's life, tough, I'm not doing it. No way. Forget it.
No way.
Can die.
No
I don't
way.
care. I'm going to die. Tough, right? I don't mean anything bad towards those people. But if you think I trust you to do that, no, I don't. So it's not going to happen. I just want to go up behind a rock one day, a bit like animals do. They know when they're going to die, don't they? They slope off. They go into a wood and they just pass away. I think how cool is that they know that stuff. And we're all sort of intellectual about things, and we've lost touch with our instincts. But not always. But, you know, people just have died all the time. They're going to keep on doing it, and you really want to do it peaceably at home and be buried in the garden. That's all. I wouldn't mind, you know, that kind of stuff. So.
Yes,
yeah, and it actually helps when you grow rhubarb. You can have nice rhubarb. It have plenty of body in it.
That's Uncle Alfred. That's why that rhubarb tastes so good. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, that's it. But I really do believe that these people in government are soulless. They haven't got a soul, and they're demonic, and it is a death cult. Because when you look around, look at MPs. There was a fantastic discussion. I'm trying to find it on YouTube again. I've lost it. Between two reporters who reported on politics, and they're both saying how weird MPs are. Everyone they come up against has been very, very weird. There's something odd about them. They're not quite right. I mean, have you found this, Monica, in Canada and that?
About the politicians?
Yeah, they're weird. Very weird.
Well, I don't know about that word is not one that I have thought of in relation to them, but this is what I'll say about politicians. There are some well-meaning people who actually do get they get voted in or whatever the case may be, however they get in, but there are some very well-meaning people, but once they get there, if they continue to be well-meaning, they will be relegated to a completely powerless position. Those who have reached any level of actual decision-making and power, they are all compromised, every single one of them, by either something that they can be blackmailed with, something in their history, or whatever, they might be involved in some very bad activities in the present time, whether that be pedophilia or something. They either have something on their history that they can be controlled with, or they're presently involved in these activities. And those, I still do believe there are some genuinely, good people that have gotten elected in because they happen to run in a party that, these days when people vote, they're just voting for whoever is leading the party. It's really strange. Yet we have this representative, there's always candidates in each riding, but most people don't look at those individual candidates. They just look at the leaders. So anyway, some of these people, I think they're good people, but they have nothing to. Oh, actually, there was a German politician who said it really well. He said, those who are elected have nothing to say, or they have no power to say, and those who have power to say, in other words, control, are not elected. So
yes.
It's this two-way thing like that.
Well, one of the things that we were looking at last week when I went to this Shakespeare thing, which I've not talked about much, it was we might do a thing on Shakespeare after. It was actually about the infusion of tons of new words into the English language, and that the likelihood is that William de Vere, the Earl of Oxford, was the head of a group. He wrote a lot of them, and that there was a group of them, both up in and around Oxford, and also somewhere down in Hampshire as well. There was a lady that was involved, probably involved in writing lots of the lady parts. I don't really mind. It's still amazing literature. I'm not really upset about it. There is nobody really called William Shakespeare, right? There isn't. It's like a name. It's something to do with hostility. What do you do if you see a man and he's shaking a spear at you? Right. There's lots of esoteric understanding about this whole thing. However, one of the parts of the presentation, we're looking at psychopaths and what psychopathy is. There's a guy called James Fallon. He's a scientist, and he's done I haven't even got round to reading all of this. There's an article by him on The Guardian, by the way, which of course is a bit worrying. But he's a very well-behaved man, but he ticks an awful lot of boxes when it comes to psychopathy. And he said, it looks as though I'm a borderline psychopath. And it's a very interesting article because he's not a bad one. It's only there's a certain subset. But I was looking at, there's a thing called a PCL test. What's it called here? A PCL-R model of psychopathy. It's got 20 items on it, and I want to read them out to you, right? So anybody that shows some or all of these things is leaning, I reckon to some degree we've all shown these things. I'm serious. I think it's just that we're in control of it and it's not in control of us. But here are these qualities. Glibness, superficial charm is number one. A grandiose sense of self-worth. Politicians don't have that then, do they? Need for stimulation, proneness to boredom. Now that worried me because I am prone as a kid, I was prone to boredom all the time. Really, it used to drive me nuts. Pathological lying. No, don't do that. Conning and manipulative. Lack of remorse or guilt. That's a real political quality, I think, amongst a broad base of politicians. They don't seem to show any sense in that. Shallow affectation. Callous and a lack of empathy, parasitic lifestyle, well, politicians, right? Poor behavioural controls, promiscuous sexual behaviour, Bill Clinton, early behaviour problems, lack of realistic long-term goals, impulsivity, irresponsibility, failure to accept responsibility for one's own actions, many short-term marital relationships, juvenile delinquency, revocation of conditional release. I don't quite know what that means. And the last one, criminal versatility. So there you go. These are apparently qualities or characteristics exhibited by people that are moving up, unfortunately, the psychopathic scale. But many of those things, I guess, we'd recognize in the behavior of certain public officials. Not all of them. Enoch Powell was not a psychopath. And he's definitely one of those who had something to say, but was certainly never, ever given a position of power through which he could do anything. And yet the British public knew this. That's why we still have a very good place in our hearts for him, because he was one of the few people that actually spoke the truth about the real condition of the nation. So there we go. So I hope you didn't take any of those boxes, everybody, and that you're all lovely empathy people. So you're either a psychopath or you're an empathizer, and most of us are empaths. Which is the ability to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and see how bad it is for them, and you go, "Good grief, I've got to do something here if I can." That kind of thing. That's always, and we're controlled through that. We're controlled through that.
And yes, exactly. I was going to say that is a very strong trait that our race has, is empathy in general, right? And so that is what has been used against us, and as well as our high trust. We are empaths in general, and we are high trust, and so these two qualities together, they work very well for making very beautiful, cohesive societies, unless we are infiltrated by an enemy within, and they have turned these traits against us. So the high trust, what does that translate to? If that's being used against us, it means we believe the lies very easily. And then the empathy, we're made to feel guilty very easily as a result of the lies being told to us. And then we want to take care of all these, the bioweapons, which are the human migrants being pushed into our countries. So our people go and volunteer here, there, and everywhere to help them out. I can't tell you how many of, the German people that I knew personally who were either friends of, I had a bunch of children, grade 11, so they were young adults, I guess you could say. They were either related to me or they were friends of relatives who came and stayed with me, with myself and my daughter in Jasper for half a year or a year to go to high school, grade 11. Many German children do that, right? And then I would find out that the parents are volunteering at this place, the local receiving point for all these new, Africans coming that are refugees, they call them refugees, right? So I'm thinking, wow, in the long run, they're actually participating in their own demise. But they were misinformed, they're misguided. They think, these poor people, they need our help. And we can take them in.
I agree. It's a really difficult one, isn't it, Monica? Maybe it's difficult just for us as a race. I don't know. But if you think it through logically, which is tricky for people when their emotions have been hijacked, I include myself, it's not possible to help everybody who's in plight on the earth. Right now, somebody somewhere is undergoing some terrible ordeal at the hands of some idiot or some violent fool. I'm not there. I couldn't sort it out. Even if I was there, I might not be able to. If I witnessed this all the time, I'd go mad. You'd go absolutely mad with a desperate sense of uselessness. This is why I think that the races cleaving to one another and staying in their homelands is absolutely vital. It's a natural law because I can't sort out other people's problems. I just think I can. And it's like a curse. I mean, I personally don't, but I'm sort of projecting out here. We've got people who've got great hearts who you really feel have gone out and sort of poured really good spiritual energy after bad. It doesn't make a difference because it's being poured on unfallow ground. We can't sort out everybody else's problems, and yet
no.
The feminine trait is to do that. They empathize with the plight of the young. I do too. What's happening in Gaza is horrific. It's sick. It's evil. All these things. It's not the first time in history that something foul and disgusting and degenerate has happened, and tragically, it probably won't be the last. But how do we reduce it? I mean, I just think if you can do things that reduce it, one way to not reduce it is to allow these people to come and live with you.
Well, that's exactly the point. But, before that, what happened before that in the decades before the current, invasion of our countries, all our Western nations are being invaded. But the lead up to that was that we actually are directly responsible for, I would say, probably 80 or 90% of that population's very existence, because we were so busy going over to their countries, their third world countries, and helping them, building sanitation systems, building this and that, the other thing, actually preventing them from dying, right? Yep. And they used all those pull at your heartstrings, images of starving child here, there, and everywhere, and to pull at our heartstrings, pull at the empathy. So people, they form organizations. But when you really look into it, most of these organizations have that same triple bracket echo national or group to them, that's them that are behind all these aid organizations. Really, in the end, that becomes our the weapon against us. So now there's so many people there, they increase their population because of our interventions, our help. And now, then of course the wars, who is creating all these wars, and who is causing there to be refugees in the first place? Now we have to take in the refugees. Like the whole thing is it's a plan. Like
it is. Yeah, it's been weaponized against us. Our empathy and high levels of altruism are to be really exclusively directed towards our own people.
Exactly.
Scripture says as much. If you allow the alien to live amongst you, they will become the head and you will become the tail. It's all there. It's just never read right. It's never read straight. It's a pragmatic guide to honourable behaviour and to create a race of people that become more honourable with each generation. But we got hijacked, and the lust for money has corrupted our natural aristocracy. I'm not against an aristocracy, but when I use that word, everybody associates it with the degenerate state that it's in now. But it's a naturally occurring phenomenon. You're going to get people in certain fields. There's an aristocracy of farmers. Stephen's amongst it. He wouldn't use that word, right? But he knows way more about that than I'm ever going to learn in my lifetime. Given how old I am and everything, I don't know about stuff like that. So you end up with people that have got great contributions to make within their particular field of knowledge and study. And when it's combined together, we can go to the moon and back in a split second, metaphorically speaking. But you can't do it if you're misdirecting your energy in the wrong place. And, every time I look at this situation, you just think this is mad. If we say that there are, say, I think there's kind of more than 4, but 4 sort of basic races. You've got the Chinese, you've got the white man, you've got the African, and you've got maybe the South American or I don't know. It gets a bit confused because there's overlap and there's been a lot of sort of interbreeding and sort of strange, almost hybrid races that are very large now in many ways. I mean, the word Arab means to be race mixed from Hebrew. That's what it means, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's very interesting because if you look at the people in Iran, like Queen Noor and that, you'll see all their European ancestry and their bone structure and everything. They're like us, but just of a slightly different complexion now. Of those 4 that I've mentioned, you might be able to think of a few more if you wanted to and add to the list. I haven't got a definitive one.
Arthur Kemp says there's 7, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'd probably go along with that as well. We are the least numerous by a considerable degree, right? Yes. They overwhelm us numerically in huge numbers, right? And yet all of the energy of the world seems to be devoted to wiping out loosely what we term Christendom, all the places where the Anglo-Saxons and Northern Western Europeans have gone and brought competence and skill, particularly to farming. If there's one thing you could say that we're good at, wherever we've gone, we've made food start coming out of the ground and got it organised because we know how important it is. It's just logic. It's called planning. We're good at planning. We're outstanding at planning in comparison to other people. The Chinese are pretty good at it. They plan for 1,000 years. But I'm not a Chinaman. I can't speak for Chinamen. Don't want to. None of my business, right? But, white people still think they've been told that everybody else is in a worse pickle than them. And they're not. They're not in a worse pickle. And this is why, one of the points that Carlson was making in just this first 40 minutes, he said, if you see, say in England or in these islands, the people that are coming here are quite buoyant. Why? Because the improvement in their life over where they've come from is considerable. They're winning in their own mind. You would feel the same. I would feel the same if I went to a place and somebody said, "Oh, Paul, you don't have to pay any bills, and here's a house," and all that kind of stuff. I go, wow, this is great. All that pressure of having to perform in this wretched society has been removed. This is great. But the people that would live there would be paying for that. And this is where there's this disconnect. And ultimately, the arrivees will never be able to acquire any self-respect because in some part of their consciousness, they know that this is being laid on a plate for them. And this is not helpful to them. It's dangerous to them. It's a temporary sort of stopgap that appears great. And it means that the Liberals can stand up in meetings and tell you, all their great credentials about how they're helping this and helping that, whilst their own people are withering. And the people that are the helpers, if we say that we have been, and I know there's been bad stuff as well, right? But overall, we're way, way more in the credit book. We haven't done anything bad that any of the other races haven't done either. And they've been doing it a lot longer. And we stopped slavery. So there.
I was just going to say,
right? we stopped it.
Slavery.
And it's still going on in Africa and parts of the Middle and Muslim countries right now. As we're speaking, it's going on right now on a massive scale, okay? And, our own people many of our own people have lost connection with looking after their own. And I think these are actually the biggest enemies that we face is our internal discord. You get that sorted out, we won't have any external enemies, or they will be reduced considerably, because I don't feel that they'll be able to get purchase on our heads. There's something wrong with our heads. And I think Solzhenitsyn nailed it with regards to what happened to the Russians, where he said, the problem is that we forgot God. We forgot the actual laws. They forgot God. And we get turned over. That's how it works. And if you look at us historically, it tends to work like this. I'm not talking about religions because they worry the hell out of me, right? They're another manglement of a good principle. It starts off with a good intention. You look at the history of it and how it's matured. You go, ooh, they've all got banks. Ooh, they've all got loads of money. Ooh, they've all got big buildings. What's that all about? It's about, this earthly power thing. It's I'm not saying we can cure it overnight, but getting most of our kith and our fellow pleasant peasants to start batting a lot more for their own side would be a huge, huge improvement. And it's absolutely vital if we are to thrive. And I think we will. I know it's bad right now, but we will overcome this. I don't know how long it's going to take. You just hope it's not 200 years of misery. I mean, history shows that you can have these things that last a huge length of time purely because people have been cut off from the history of who they are. They don't have any recent examples of honourable people to copy and emulate, and they become, dispirited and demoralised. And that's that's the war that's being waged on us, the demoralisation war, and it's unfortunately proving to be quite effective, I'm afraid. But not so effective that it's got people like you. We haven't fallen for it, and that's this. So I think, in a way, we're a good sign. We're a good symptom, even if we're frustrated.
And there are many of us.
Yes, there are.
There are many of us.
Yep.
Yeah.
And remember the adage that there's mass formation theory that states that 30% of people go with what the government believe, 40% go with the flow, and 30% are us. And all it needs is just 5% of that 40% to come over to our side, and we've virtually won, and that's happening. So when you look at it like that, it's not so much. It's just that 5% of the 40%. The 30% that go with the flow, we forget about them. They're dead. They're dead from the neck upwards. But that 40%, that's it. So I think that's why the governments are worried, and that's why they're trying to introduce things so quickly.
You mean okay? So you had said 30% go with the government. What the government
says.
That's right.
Mass formation. It's
right.
30% go with what the government say, so you forget about them. You don't even bother with them.
Yeah.
The 40% go with the flow.
Yeah, but those are the ones you're saying 5% of them.
Now 5% of them, if they come over to us,
right.
That's all it needs, minimum 5%, and there's 30% of us that can see through it. Then the government are seriously worried. Another 5%, and they're getting very, very worried. Because remember, Mao only got in with 5% support of the people. 5%. And so it's a very small amount. That's in a bad way, but we could use it in a good way for us. Look at the Bolsheviks. They got in with 7%. That's hardly anybody. 7%. When you look at it, when you look at the whole population. So I think that I'm optimistic. I'm really optimistic, and I think what's happening is a godsend. It's showing people how evil this scum is in government, and they are, without a shadow of doubt, soulless. I mean, when you look at Keir Starmer, you look at him. He hasn't got a soul. He's a dope.
I know.
Yes. Yes,
I know.
That's it.
I think for people like us, whatever I might mean by that, and I include all the listeners here in Rumble and YouTube and elsewhere as well, enquirers, I think we've also got a challenge. I'm aware of it, which is that we're knowledgeable about a lot of the history and run up to this. And I'm kind of trying to observe myself not getting too stuck into that too much, when there really are immediately good things that you can do of a much simpler nature to nudge people towards this. Like we said before, although we know a great deal about the history and the perversion of the history that's brought us to this point, you can't go into a sort of somebody in this space who's suddenly getting concerned and overload them with that stuff. It requires some sensitivity, and simple things, what appear to be simple things, are generally always the best. And food, being as simple a proposition as you could think of and vital, really covers an awful lot of ground for us. We don't need to get into some sort of wonderfully complicated discussion. I mean, I like them, believe you me. I think they're necessary, and there'll always be a space for them, and they're going to continue. But there's other things that could come along that could really build up a crowd in a much more rapid way. Once that crowd's there, you can then look at affecting it more effectively, to be quite honest, because there's something about the power of numbers. People feel that, oh, I'm not alone. I've stepped forward. A bit like Stephen was saying, it's a new thing for him. There he is. He's only been selling to business his entire life as a farmer for 30 years. And now he's out there going direct to the public. And this is, of course, what Mark is doing with the Food Hub, is to encourage and connect up with these other communicators. And when I spoke to him the other day, Eric, he was just telling me he's been speaking to loads of people about developing sort of, the food farm radio situation and getting them all on. And they all want to go for it. I think there's just literally, there are going to be tens, if not hundreds of communicators out there who are good, common sense people who are dealing with this every day and want to make it work. And that's really, really powerful stuff. When you've got, the mood of the crowd
we need
there.
Communication. And communication is the most important thing. And also fighting ignorance. That is the other thing, because we're all ignorant to what we don't know. And I think that this communication device, going down the old route and having literally a magazine that's printed is the answer, because you can't hack it. You can't. It's printed. There it is. And I think the old ways are going to come back, because they're so straightforward and so simple. They're expensive, yes, but I think they're definitely going to come back. That's
I love the byline of the Barnes Review, a journal of politically incorrect history, politically incorrect history, right? Or bringing history in accord with the facts. And so that's good. But here in Canada, another thing that's waking up a lot of people is the Richmond story. That's just near Vancouver there. And the Native Indians there, the Cowichan tribe, they won a court case that says there's a certain portion of Richmond is theirs. And all of a sudden, people instantly, overnight, like if they were going for a renewal of their mortgage or whatever, nope, they were refused. Like, everybody that's in that little segment of land is uncertain as to the future of their own property. And now the whole city of Kamloops, the same thing. Apparently there's been court case going on for years and years and years, but they've never told us about that. Of the natives, they're just going to say, no, that's ours. This UNDRIP thing, right? The United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, it is a weapon against us. It includes a section there. It's not just if the Indians ever owned the land, or, they say they never owned it anyway, they're just living on it, but if they resided there or if they used the land. So it means they could just have picked berries there 200 years ago, or now they're actually in British Columbia, the province where I live. I'm not sure if they passed this yet or if they are about to pass it. I think they did pass a law that is giving intangible cultural heritage that also counts. So maybe your great grandmother, sang a special song in this location, and so okay, that's theirs now. Or there was a spirit bear or something, like they were just some like ghost stories basically. Because that's
hang on a moment.
Yeah.
Couldn't we work that in our favour? For example, I'm English, so King Charles is better clear off because he's a Norman. because I'm an indigenous Englishman. So why should we worship some ding-dong with fat fingers who owns the touchy of Cornwall? So all Cornish people should rise up and say, clear off.
He's
because
lovely,
why should
Eric.
Who says he owns Cornwall? Yes. Well,
everybody loves him. Oh, Charlie, he's not got... you couldn't say a bad word about him. You could say a million bad words about him. Not one wouldn't be enough, really, I think,
yes. But some people say there's a conspiracy theory that he's head of the Church of... head of the... Was it Church of England? That's
he can be. I think... great. Let him rock on with it. It's a useless institution. This is the thing. I mean, part of it is prizing yourself away to stand alone under God. And it's really strong. But it's a big ask for people because we've been raised like children. I've often thought this. I thought, how long is it going to take me to grow up? We talk about the previous generation. They were much more mature at an earlier age because they were dealing with the actual real problems of life directly. And it causes you to just grow up because if you don't, you're dead. We hadn't had that. We've been mollycoddled, and I've been glad of it. Really, I've had an opportunity, to discover and read pieces of information that I would never have found out 100 years ago. I would never. I'd have gone to the library, right. Probably wouldn't even read that well, and I'd have spoke funny like this and got it all wrong. But now we've got a different sort of. They've kept us away from knowledge and information because we're easier to control. Well, we seem to have broken that one, and that's why this is kind of different. I want to just sort of change tack a bit, although it taps back into this peasants' revolt thing. You ever heard of a guy in that period of time? Anyway, you ever heard of somebody called William Marshall?
Nope.
He's a very interesting guy, and it's definitely worth looking at. William Marshall, he played a key... Let me read you this. It's to do with Magna Carta, right, which I know it's still important. One of the things that we were talking about last Thursday was what Magna Carta really is in its essence, and you need the complete thing because certain sections have been removed regarding people that we're not allowed to talk about. Okay, but they're in there. You get the original one, you'll see it, right? It's actually written in Magna Carta. That's how powerful it is. Let me read you this bit. William Marshall played a crucial role as a key negotiator for the Magna Carta between King John and the barons. He was seen as a neutral and trusted figure, helping to bring about the Charter's sealing in June 1215. After John's death, Marshall served as regent for the young Henry III, and in that role he successfully reissued and secured baronial support for the Magna Carta in 1216 and 1217, ensuring its survival, because it didn't go down smoothly. They didn't just all sign it and go, that's that then, we're all going to obey that. Nah. As usual, they immediately began to connive. What's amazing about Marshall is he was a knight his entire life. And he lived to the age of 70 back then, right? This is a formidable guy. And the reason he was able to do it, and we were talking about this, is that he was known as being the most honourable and chivalric man in England, in the whole of the islands. He commanded respect because his integrity was perfect for the bulk of his life. He never, ever flinched from a confrontation when he was dealing with a liar. Isn't that glorious? This is the stuff that we would need to bring back into the ears of our young and into mine as well. All of these things. I just like to throw... The historical stuff appeals to me a great deal because we've got role figures in the past that we need to be modelling ourselves on. And of course, that's one of the great reasons why they don't put them on TV because these people are inspiring. They tap into the sorts of people that we want to become, that intermittently in the past we have been. And they always get attacked, So that's another part, really, of the great confrontation that we're involved with right now. It's very old, as everybody well knows. It's just in its modern iteration right now. Yeah, William Marshall, definitely worth looking up.
That's interesting. Never heard of him.
Yeah, first Earl of Pembroke. So the Welsh have got a big claim on him. Okay, so there we go. Good lad. The Welsh, very important people. Yeah, he was born in 1146 and he died in 1219 at the age of 72. So this means he was negotiating and dealing with these barons in his late 60s, early 70s, sorting it all out, right? And probably still carrying a sword. Top lad. What a lad. Amazing. I love these guys.
He sounds it, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But, I mean, the thing is that... history is not necessarily what happened, but usually what a minority of people want us to believe.
Of course.
And it's all surrounded around this worship of royalty, which I just do not understand, because just a load of criminals that decided to say that they were like a godlike people because they were ruthless enough to steal off of other people. Their ancestors were just common criminals, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
And look at Japan, where you had kamikaze pilots that are dying for the emperor.
Yeah.
Who was the emperor? You know, I mean, what a waste. Horrendous. And I actually think that government is a superstition. We really do not need them. When you look at situations where there hasn't been government, well, that's it. But who says we need a government? I mean, Ronald Reagan said if government took several months off holiday, would anybody notice any difference? No, they didn't.
Well, they would, because things would improve.
Well, they would improve.
They would. It is an addiction. It's a fantasy that they're actually helping us. I mean, it's a bit like people go, "Oh, well, we've got this terrible person in charge of the Church of England." We ain't got a Church of England. It's just a joke. It's just a nut house. Who would be bothered with that? It's not of any pragmatic use. Alice Gorgeous writes here, "Hi, Alice," and "Hi, Aunt Sally." Lovely comments, of course. Aunt Sally's chuffed to bits that she wrote that really rude comment. It was pretty good, actually. It was pretty good. Alice Gorgeous says, "They're not allowed to remove any part of our constitution. It is in perpetuity." It is. So you know how they're talking recently about getting rid of trial by jury? They can talk about it. We are going to form our own courts. We've got the greatest opportunity to just take charge, and we're going to have to do it. And they're going to come at us with everything they've got. As long as we're eating well, I don't mind. And it'll build up slowly, but you get a large number of people thinking like this. It's like a vibrational frequency in the crowd. It's formidable. It's not easy for them to deal with. And that's our job. This is why they're going hell for leather with all the ID stuff. They know that we're much more fully informed than we were even 25 years ago, which is not that far off. You think everybody thought they knew what they were talking about in the 20th century. Didn't know dick. Now we're going, whoa. And some of us have had the fortitude to stare at this evil body of information and go, ugh, right, something's got to be done about it. I don't know where to start, but we're beginning to start, and this is good. It's very good. So, yes. You know, it's the Magna Carta is not some trinket. It's not. And it becomes not by everybody binding it in and going, no, this is in perpetuity. Because it's under the laws of God. It's how you really do work together, not some sort of whim by the here today, gone tomorrow political, avaricious, ambitious sort of fool that occupies these places. Everybody dies. All these people are going to die. I ought to write to them and say, you do realise, Keir, that you are going to die, just like me and everybody else that's around them. We're all going to die, mate, right? And what are you doing whilst you're alive? Ruining people's lives. Stop it. It's a filthy habit, and you'll pay for it later on. And they will.
Yes.
They will.
Well, they will. Yeah, you're right. Right. I think what gets me is when you look at the mainstream media, you know what they've got in mind. And what they have in mind is they want a revolution, because every revolution is bloodthirsty and leads to a power vacuum where another tyrant gets in that's far worse than the people they're replacing.
Yep.
And that happens every time, and I think that's what they want.
Yeah, the crowd becomes, when the crowd, I think, gets agitated, and we're all prone to that. You've got to really, be very selective in who you communicate to at times and things like this. If that thing kicks off, you don't want to be caught up in it. It's a bit like the COVID thing. You know, when you saw all those people with masks on, that gave me the willies. I went, this is worse than a horror movie. It's worse.
Yes.
It's worse because it's a thing that could just go bonkers at any moment, and you could feel it. Those of us that are sensitive to it, they're oblivious to it because they're doing the right thing, and you're a troublemaker for not wearing a mask and all that. I'm going, I got to get out of here, because there's no communication you can make to a person that's in that condition that would have any effect whatsoever at that moment in time. You have to let it go, let it go fallow, and then hopefully maybe catch them on a day when they're a little when they've got a brain. When they've got one.
There's people still wearing masks now. Seriously, have you seen them all posting around? Yeah,
yeah.
Still wearing masks.
I saw one the other day.
And the worst one.
Yeah, you're right.
I'll tell you the funniest one. It's funny. It's sick at the same time. An Amazon tribe in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
Standing there wearing masks. They're in the Amazon. I mean, that was during the lockdown. Even in the Amazon, they had it. One of the cleanest places you wish to go to for air and things like that. It's just
mass psychosis and sign of enslavement. So, the powers that should not be must have thought, wow, we sure did succeed, didn't we? Like, look at them all. They're all, they just went for it. Like, so many. Vast majority of people were wearing masks, even people who kind of knew that there was something wrong with this, but they went along with it because then they could, go places or whatever. But my goodness, if everybody had just said no and laughed at, just laughed at the government for telling them such a ridiculous thing, this would have ended.
Yep.
I agree with you. I agree. But that's the trouble. People don't. And they just believe what they're told. They are the 30%. And what got me is the amount of aggressive little sods that started to come out the woodwork.
They did, sorry, I just have to say this. They got the people to police each other, like little businesses. They had to become the police themselves. And then I had the police called on me so many times during that time, just because I wasn't wearing a mask. So they'd call the police. Really? I said, go ahead, call the police. Sorry, Eric, I just jumped in there.
But I think, Monica, I think it's a really important point that you're talking about. That's kind of this sensitive trigger thing that you've got to really keep your eyes peeled for. I remember John, the assassin guy that I know. I ought to try and get him on the show one day, amazing guy.
That'd be a killer, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It would. He's an amazing guy. He knows all this stuff. I can't tell you what he first said. First minute of my conversation, I can't say it on this broadcast, but people could read. He said, "Do you know what the problem is?" And I went, "No," and I did. And then he said what it was, and you would have all agreed. Okay, so let's just leave it at that. And I went, "John, we're going to get on like a house on fire." It was absolutely brilliant. But one of the things he said to me was, he said, "The main problem is your next door neighbour." And what he meant was your next door neighbour in a certain condition. Because those are the guys, if they're given instructions by authorities that they follow, they're the ones that'll cave your head in with a stovepipe. They'll do it in. They will. They'll do it out of fear of losing their own stuff. This is why we need numbers, because people that might not have that internal fortitude that we're looking for yet, I always say yet, that have got to grow into it, whilst they're in that sort of transition period, they can be very dangerous and cause an awful lot of mess. And that's why numbers are going to help. That's why I'm very attracted to this food thing, not only because I eat it, and we all do, but because it's got such a wide footprint. It overlaps onto everybody, and it's a soft sort of invitation, isn't it? And there's so much awareness over health that's been built up on the net over the last 20 years, people looking at health in a particular way, and foodstuffs. There's a lot of mileage in it. It's more than that. It's vital that we get it right. And particularly when you look at the solutions, the solutions are amazing.
Also, but also I think we need peaceful Minutemen, because they had Minutemen in America that could turn up within a minute, so that if the government sends their thugs in to, say, move someone out of their house or do anything like that, then if they send 20 of their thugs, we'll meet them with 40 of them. But there will be no violence. It'll be very peaceful, and we just politely tell them to go away. And that's it. We don't want them there.
Yeah, there's a couple of comments here, Eric, as well, on the spamdemic, as Aunt Sally calls it. Aunt Sally says, it upset me during the spamdemic that people I knew bought the BS and turned on those who didn't believe. I lost respect for my own kind, to be honest. Yep, I'm completely there. There's this one, though. There's a fruity one from Alice Gorgeous. She says, I had a grown man square up to me because I entered a shop maskless. What a bell end. He wasn't wearing any trousers then, Alice. Is that what you're saying? He wore a mask, but he couldn't put his pants on. Good grief. What kind of a world are we coming to? It's outrageous. Yeah.
But the best thing, if it happens again, act deaf. Make out you're deaf. Pardon? Can you come a bit closer, please? I can't hear you.
Great idea.
I love
it.
That's great. The best one was in Lidl. Bloke said, can you move back, please? So I went right across and said, pardon, I can't hear you. Can you move back, please? And he was almost trying to kind of get out of his little, the little cubby hole where they are, where they, take the checkouts. Sorry, can you come a bit closer? I can't hear you. You know, a little bit closer. Do you want me to walk back? Is there someone coming past or something? You know, and it was hysterical. But if you act deaf, they can't be offensive to you. You haven't got a mask,
hey,
or misinterpret
it's brilliant.
what they say.
Yeah, love that.
Have you got a mask? I'm sorry, I'm not that way inclined. What about my arse? You know? But one I did do with the security guard, and he had to laugh. He said, "Have you got a mask?" I said, "Well, have you farted?" He stood there for a while.
Did you ever see that character on the Fast Show, the deaf stuntman, where they're giving him instructions all the time on the set, and he's deaf, and he keeps... he just misunderstands everything. He's like a maniac on motorbikes and setting himself on fire. And they say something to me, he goes, "What? So go over there and set fire to myself." I go, "No, do this." And he just can't hear anything right. It's very funny. And of course, everything goes, "Hey, well, I love that. As a tactic, Eric, it's perfect. It's so simple. Yeah. Just play deaf. Are you wearing a mask? You don't have to ask.
All the time.
No, I didn't say that. Are you wearing a mask? I don't know. I can't hear you. I just love it. It's great. It'll drive people crazy. That's really good. Yeah. And they deserve it.
But the bloke with the checkout, it was really funny because it was as if there was a poisonous snake inside his checkout bit. He was sort of getting out. I said, "Sorry, I can't hear. Can you speak up a little bit, please?" I can't. And I was leaning right across. Of course, they can't call the police. You're not being offensive. You just said he can't hear him. Of course, you could.
That's perfect. Thank you for the great idea.
That's okay. And it was real. It was loads of fun. It really was.
So after 3 hours of broadcasting, we can say that the conclusion of this show is that if things go a little bit pear-shaped for you in a one-to-one communication, just play that you're completely deaf and you can't hear a word they're saying. Absolutely. Monika, it's been brilliant having you on. Really enjoyed tonight. It's lovely, really, as it always is.
Well, thank you so much, Paul.
Yeah, it's really good.
And thank you, Eric, as well. Thank you.
That's okay. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. And if you're sad like me and Eric and you don't have a social life and nobody loves you on Christmas Day night and you want to rock up here and share some Canadian cheer with us, we'd be glad to have you in a month's time at the end of December. So brilliant.
Well,
thanks.
Thank you. I might just do that. I'll have to see who's coming to visit or that kind of thing. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there might be Christmas presents for everybody. I don't know quite how we're going to deliver them, but there might be. It's a complete fib. Thanks, everybody in Rumble and YouTube. We'll be back again same time next week. There'll be quite a few updates. Got lots of things on. Planning for next year, I think, with this food thing, which is looking good. We'll see you all in a week's time. Till then, keep well. Don't forget Eric's shows on Sunday nights and Monday nights as well. So look out for that too at Fockham Hall. Bye for now, everyone. Bye-bye.